Damn, we're live. That thing worked. All right. I gotta think about the chat mods pool party invitations. Yeah. So, guys, we are ready to go. Let's do this. Let's do it. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed that earlier interview. I thought it was really good. Let's see here. Michelle Troconis Trial morning. Nope, damn it. Guys, I'm going to get Rumble set up. I need 1 second to get that going. Because Rumble only lets you do one stream at a time. You can't cross streams with Rumble. You can only pee once. Unhung Hero. $2. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm going to come. Don't come. Don't come. Oh. Once Ukraine collapses, this is going to be like a memory lane type of avatar. But you also got first. I like that. You're just like, fuck it, first. And there we go. All right, so here we go, guys. Let's get this done. Reset your chat settings to all for the best experience. Brandon, let's go. Brandon was first. Hey, remember, you can identify however you want to identify. It is 2024. So, Shopping Ninja says, what I miss. We had an interview with one of the attorneys that helped Richard Allen get his success in the Indiana Supreme Court. So, we just did that. We finished up. Now we're doing day 19 of Michelle Troconis. Pavel Gumeni, the guy who owned the red Tacoma that was involved in the murder, looks like he helped cover up evidence. So, he was charged. But they gave him immunity, and now he's getting ready to be cross-examined. So, this is actually getting good now, guys. We're getting to like the sex part. That was a lot of boring plot writing in this porno. 45 minutes of plot writing. Now we're getting to the petting. So, here we go. Yes. Let's go. I think Ashley meant let's go, but yes, let's go. You're into that. It's normal because these people are in slow-mo.
Depending on what you're doing, let me know and I can switch it. That's all.
That's what it is. Well, there's a couple of we were able to fix the I'm just looking at the other. May I have this marked by identification?
Yes.
It's okay. I can.
No. To this? Okay. And may I just have this disc marked for ID as well?
Yes.
I'm prepared to proceed, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. We can bring the jury in, please.
From Let's Go Brandon for $9.99. Thank you, Brandon. Saying group sex. Now we're talking. I've been deported a few times tonight, but I'm gonna come again. No, just be careful where you're aiming. Remember, don't out of people's eyes. They tend to frown upon that. Thank you, Brandon. And here we go.
Yes, Judge.
Yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
We continue with the state's case.
Good morning, Mr. Committee. Good morning. Mr. Committee, where we left off yesterday, you had given the seats that were in your Tacoma Ford Focus seats to Sergeant Albison. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes.
I want to show you some photographs if I could. Judge, I have a disc here, which has been pre-marked for identification as State's Exhibit 126. I provided a copy to Attorney Schoenhorn. I believe he does not have an objection, so I would formally move this disc into evidence. That's correct.
Thank you. 126 admitted as full. State's 126.
Yes, sir. Judge, within State's 126, there's a folder entitled Toyota Tacoma. And there's a photograph entitled 335 Tacoma seats. Mr. Gumeni, do you see what's shown in that particular image?
Yes.
And can you just tell the jury what's shown in this image?
Those are those two seats that I removed from my Toyota Tacoma.
And can you indicate for the jury there appear to be two seats within the image? Can you indicate for the jury which one was the driver's seat and which one was the passenger seat? If you have to stand up, that's fine.
Do you have pictures from different angle?
We can get them for you, yes, but not currently.
No. I mean, the only way I could tell,
Well, I'm going to object as non-responsive, Your Honor.
well, the last comment from the state was we can get them, but right now we cannot get those other photos. And the witness was about to say the only way he could tell, and it may be that the witness was about to say the only way he could tell is if there's another angle or another photo showing a different angle. So the objection is overruled.
You can finish your answer, Mr. Gumeni.
I could tell by where the seatbelt attachment is on which side of the seat. They're always on the center console side. So if you have a picture from a little different angle.
All right, we'll see what we can do. Now, your recollection, though, was that you believe you took the cover off the driver's seat. Is that correct?
Guys, Rumble is now up. Rumble is now up.
And if we could just X out of this photo and pull up the other photograph within this folder. Mr. Gumeni, what is that?
That looks like my 2001 Tacoma.
And how do you know it's your 2001 Tacoma?
The color, the type of the truck, and the most noticeable thing is this snowplow mount.
And I'm just going to ask if you could stand up and just show the jury the snowplow mount that you speak of.
It's this and the wire bars.
Okay, so I just want the record to reflect, Mr. Gumeni, you just, with your left index finger, pointed to an area just below the license plate in the photograph, and your finger went from right to left along the center of the photograph underneath. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you pointed out an additional item above that particular item to the right of the license plate in this photo. What is that?
That's a wiring harness that controls the plow.
Did your Toyota Tacoma also have chrome running boards?
Yes.
And where were they located on the vehicle?
Underneath the driver and passenger side doors.
Mr. Gumini, you mentioned yesterday on direct examination that you went with Mr. Dulos to 80 Mountain Spring Road as he was driving near Tacoma there. Is that correct?
Yes.
And would it be fair to say that you don't recall the exact date of that?
Yes,
How many times did you do that with Mr. Dulos?
just one.
Judge, I'm going to ask that we pull up in the photograph or in the folder entitled States Exhibit 81. There's a photograph 77 Mountain Spring Road surveillance 5/23/19, and within there is a clip entitled 23/4:57 p.m. Just going to ask if we can play that. Mr. Gumini, can you look at the clip behind you? Mr. Gumini, did you recognize any of the vehicles in that clip?
Yes, this is my Tacoma and Dulos is Ford Raptor.
And who was driving the Tacoma in this footage?
Fotis Dulos.
And who was driving the Raptor?
I did.
And where did the two of you go?
To 80 Mountain Spring Road.
And just so the record is clear, both vehicles make a left off of Mountain Spring Road into the driveway of 80 Mountain Spring Road. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe you indicated that Mr. Dulos backed in to 80 Mountain Spring Road.
He like pulled in and turned around, so the truck was ready to leave.
How long were you at 80 Mountain Spring Road for with Mr. Dulos during that trip?
We left the truck and we went back to leave.
And Judge, I should have indicated this, but the record should reflect that the timestamp on this video is a day and 10 minutes fast. So this is actually May 23rd, 2019 at 4:57 p.m. and 34 seconds.
Thank you.
So I'd like to play another clip for you if I could. And just for the record, the clip is in that same folder entitled 23/5:01 p.m. 77 MSR. I'm just going to ask that you watch that clip.
That's what it looks like.
Okay, so just gonna, if the record could reflect that the actual time is May 23rd, 2019 at 5:00 p.m. and 45 seconds. Mr. Gumini, did you recognize any vehicles in that clip?
Yes, the black Ford Raptor.
And would this have been after the Tacoma was dropped off?
Yes,
Do you recall who was driving the Raptor at this point?
I don't.
Guys, I'm just going to say, he doesn't want to be up there. He's up there because he got in trouble. He's facing a lot of things. He's saying, he's like, I got to say enough. He's like, I'm saying just enough to get the hell out of there. Because, yeah, nobody likes to snitch. And he is a man who is not thrilled to be there right now. And if you guys weren't aware, he pulled the seats out of that bloody stained Tacoma. He pulled the seats out of it. And that's why he's in trouble. Because the car is all bloody, and he's like, "Oh, I guess something must have happened here." So, let's just see where this goes, though.
If I could have a state's exhibit. For the record, I'm holding State's Exhibit 88, which has already been admitted as evidence.
I can't hear him.
I'm sorry, Aaron, if I could just have one moment.
Yes.
Mr. Gumini, were you driving your Toyota Tacoma on the morning of May 24th, 2019?
No,
As far as you knew, where was your Toyota Tacoma located?
at 80 Mountain Road.
Now, I want you to just look at this photograph behind you. Does this vehicle appear to be consistent with your Toyota Tacoma?
Yes, the crawling boards look like the rims.
And there appears to be an object in the bed of the vehicle. Did you, when you dropped your Toyota Tacoma off at 4 Jefferson Crossing, in other words, the last time you had possessed it, prior to taking it back on the 24th, was there anything in the bed of your vehicle?
Other than like bungee cords and tie-down straps that are used for tie-down dirt bike. They
So
should not be.
Nothing that resembled this object here, correct?
No.
Okay, and just for the record, I'm pointing to an object in the bed of the vehicle at this point. Turning 88. Just if you show me how to do it.
If you can go to.
Okay, you can leave it off because I'm going to use it again.
Yeah, it blocks. It blocks it. So you want to go back to the computer, which is 4.
Mr. Gumini, you also indicated that you stopped at a gas station on May 24, 2019, correct?
Yes.
Which gas station did you stop at?
I believe the name it's Babu Mobile or something like that. It's across the street from Yukon.
What vehicle were you driving when you stopped at the gas station?
Ford Raptor
And how did you pay for the gas?
with American Express.
Whose American Express card?
It belonged to Fogel, but it was under my name.
And so, because this was a business expense, did you hang on to the receipt?
Yes.
And I'm displaying within States Exhibit 126, there is a image entitled Babu Mobile Receipt 52419. Mr. Gumeni, is this a photograph of the receipt that you got from the mobile gas station on May 24th, 2019?
Yes.
And could you indicate for the jury how many gallons were purchased?
It looks like 22.6.
And is that more gallons than the Toyota Tacoma can take?
Yes, Toyota Tacoma dry empty tank won't take more than 17 gallons, if I'm not mistaken.
You testified yesterday on direct examination that after getting to 4 Jefferson Crossing in the afternoon on the 24th, you went to 585 Deer Cliff to pick up a 2x10 plank for your dirt bike before you went to 80 Mountain. Do you recall that?
Yes.
I have here what has been pre-marked for identification as States Exhibit 125. This is a still shot from residential surveillance footage, Your Honor. I showed it to Attorney Sean Moore. No objection?
No objection.
I move it in, Your Honor.
Stage 125 admitted as full.
Mr. Gumini, I'm just going to ask that you look at this photograph. The timestamp indicates May 25th, 2019 at 5:08 and 54 seconds p.m. The actual time is May 24th, 2019 at 4:58 and 54 seconds p.m. And I'm just going to ask if you can look at this still shot and tell us what you see in the still shot with respect to any vehicles.
It looks like a Ford Raptor that I was driving that day with, looks like a 2x10 sticking out of back cargo area.
And Judge, because of the small nature of this photograph, is it all right if I publish this to the jury by just passing it around?
Yeah.
And just for the record, Mr. Gumini, can you point out where the object is, the plank?
It's right on the back of the truck.
Thanks. Attorney 125, clerk. And can you just tell us again why you took the plank to 80 Mountain Spring Road?
I took blank because I just wanted to load the door bike on the back of the, try to load the door bike on the back of the Raptor. And as I was leaving 585 Deercliff, I thought of stopping by 80 Mountain Spring to see if the key is in my truck or Dulos might be there.
Going to show some additional residential surveillance footage at this time. Within States Exhibit 126, there's a folder entitled States Exhibit 81. And we're going to open the folder entitled 77 Mountain Spring Road Surveillance Footage 52419. And we're going to begin with the first clip, which is 24/16:58 p.m. I'm going to ask that you turn around and just watch this clip.
I don't even know you, Kiri. I answered
Mr.
you.
Gomini, what was shown in that clip?
It looks like me driving the Raptor to 80 Mountain Spring Road.
And approximately how long were you at 80 Mountain Spring Road the first time when you walked around the property with Mr. Dulos?
Can't recall exactly. I want to say around 10 minutes.
And as you were leaving, did Mr. Dulos and the defendant leave also?
I'm assuming. I don't remember seeing them in the mirror following me on the road.
And do you know what vehicles they were driving?
There was white Jeep Cherokee and black Suburban.
Just going to play another
Hi,
clip.
Island. Hope you're doing well.
The next clip is entitled 24/17:02 p.m.
It's all of this little neighborhood. It's really confusing to me, too. I'm assuming we're going to see maps at the end of this.
We can pause it there. We pause the video, Your Honor, at 19 seconds. Mr. Gumini, can you just indicate to the jury what we just saw?
It looks like it's me in the Raptor leaving 80 Mountain Spring Road.
Thanks, Brandon. Stop
we
ignoring
continue
chatter
to play
against
the
the White
clip?
Claw again. I've been engaging. I'm sorry. I guess I shouldn't say.
We can pause it there. Mr. Gumini, I believe you indicated that there was a white Cherokee and a black Suburban at 80 Mountain. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do those appear to be depicted in this particular clip that we've now paused at
Yes.
40 seconds?
Yes.
Okay, we can keep playing. Incidentally, in that particular clip, the vehicles are heading left on the screen. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is that headed back towards 4 Jefferson Crossing and 585 Deercliff Road?
That's correct.
I want to open up another folder if I could. And if we can open up the folder entitled Photos of 80 Mountain Spring Road, and specifically the second file, the 80 Mountain Spring Road aerial view. Mr. Gumini, I'm just going to ask that you look at this aerial view photograph and tell me if you recognize the area.
Yes, I do.
And can you tell the jury what area this is?
Property to the right of the main road, it's 18 Mountain Spring Road. And
And sorry, go ahead.
the property to the left, it's 77 Mountain Spring Road.
And can you just stand up and indicate to the jury when you first encountered Mr. Dulos and the defendant on this property on May 24th, 2019, where you drove and where everybody was? Can you just stand up and show them?
So I came down this road, and I drove 10 years, and I worked with father someplace.
Okay, so I just want the record to reflect that your right index
I'm
finger.
sorry, could the Mr. McGinnis stand so I'm able to see? He's blocking my view, please. Thank you.
I just want the record to reflect that your right index finger went down on the photograph on 80 Mountain Spring Road until you reached the driveway of 80 Mountain Spring Road, and then you took your index finger and you brought it up the driveway. Is that correct?
Yes.
And can you just point out to the jury where the vehicles were parked in this particular photograph?
If you ever come, I was parked somewhere around here.
And you're indicating with your right pinky finger the area located behind the house that appears to be a driveway. Is that correct?
Yes.
Approximately how far from the road is this particular area that you just pointed to?
Don't know, I want to say 300 feet.
If you're standing on the road, can you see the back of the house?
The back of the garage is here.
Yeah, the back of the garages. If you're standing in front of 80 Mountain Spring Road, can you see the back? You cannot, correct?
No.
Thank you, sir. And just going to pull up the next photograph in that folder entitled 80 Mountain Spring Road Garage View. Mr. Gumeni, could you just indicate for the jury while you're standing there, perhaps where the vehicles were parked if they're shown in this photograph and where Mr. Dulos and the defendant were standing when you first arrived?
So the other car was parked somewhere here.
And you're making a circular motion with your right pinky finger in the bottom right-hand corner of the photograph, correct?
Yes.
I think we're getting to that, Claude.
Somewhere here.
You're making a circular motion in the right center of the photograph, is that correct?
Yes.
At the bottom?
I believe the Chevy Suburban is parked here, and then the Jeep was.
Okay, so you're indicating that the Chevy Suburban was parked in front of the center bay of the garage, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and where was the Jeep parked?
It was kind of like turning behind the home.
Thank you, sir. You can have a seat.
Normally, you have to pay for that kind of action, Haley.
And I believe you indicated that at some point you and Mr. Dulos returned to 80 Mountain Spring Road, is that correct?
Yes.
Which vehicle did you return in?
And the Raptor.
I'm just gonna play some additional residential surveillance footage
I love how he says raptor in his Polish accent.
from folder states 81,
Raptor.
subfolder 52419. And I think that's it. Playing 17:14 p.m. So again, I've neglected to do this a couple times, but again, the timestamp is a day and 10 minutes fast. Mr. Committee, what was shown in that particular clip?
It looks like me and Dulos driving back to 8 Mountain Spring Road.
And I believe you indicated that this is when you were told by Mr. Dulos that the defendant had the keys to your Tacoma, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated that the defendant returned to 80 Mountain Spring Road?
Correct.
Do you recall which vehicle she returned in?
Can you repeat that?
Do you recall which vehicle she returned in?
Your Honor, this has all been asked and answered yesterday.
What's foundational for the clip that I'm going to play, Judge?
Well, quite frankly, the routes taken between 4 Jefferson Crossing, 80 Mountain Spring Road, 585 Deerfield are not easy to remember. So even if those routes were mentioned yesterday, the court is going to allow it.
So my question was, do you recall which vehicle she arrived in?
I don't.
I mean, we
Just gonna
totally
play the
need
next
some good
clip.
maps here.
Which is a clip entitled 77 MSR 52419, 523, 50 seconds PM through 524 and 13 seconds PM.
It's a Colombian necktie. That's a Suburban, I think.
Mr. Gumini, did you recognize any vehicles in that clip?
Yes, it looks like black Suburban
How do you know that?
that belongs to Dulos. I recognize the total box on top of the car.
Does that refresh your memory at all as to what vehicle she arrived in?
It must be that, but I didn't see her driving it.
And I'm just going to play a clip now. All three of you then left the property again. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is 77 MSR 52419,
Eastern, well,
53700 through
Eastern Europeans are not
53815.
known for their racial tolerance. Holy shit, this is not a good look. It's a little parade.
Mr. Gumini, can you just tell us what was shown in that clip?
It looks like the black Suburban left the property, followed by red Tacoma and black Raptor.
Who was driving the Tacoma at this point?
I did.
You also testified yesterday that at a certain point you loaded your dirt bike onto the bed of your Tacoma. Is that correct?
Yes.
And where did you do that?
At 585 Decker.
Opening a folder entitled States Exhibit 123. This is a still shot entitled 52419 at 175739. And if we could just zoom towards the vehicle. Mr. Gumini, I'm going to ask that you stand up. Do you recognize the vehicle in this still shot?
Yes.
And can you just tell the jury whose vehicle this is?
It looks like my Toyota Tacoma,
And do you recognize anything in the bed of the Tacoma?
the dirt bike, and the 2x10.
And did the dirt bike take up a substantial amount of room in the bed of your vehicle?
Yes.
Did you know that this surveillance footage existed?
No.
You could have a seat, Mr. Gumini. And if I could just have a moment, Ron?
Yes.
May I have an exhibit marked for identification?
Yes.
Showing Attorney Sean Horn was confirmed marked for identification as States Exhibit 127. I think this can come in absent objection, Your Honor. States 127.
States 127 admitted as full.
Mr. Gumini, do you recall being asked
Shows
questions in August of 2019 about a bicycle that Mr. Dulos owned?
Yes.
And do you recall being shown photographs of the garage at 4 Jefferson Crossing that were taken after May 24, 2019?
I believe so, yes.
Just going to hand you what's been entered into evidence as States Exhibit 127.
remember, Michelle is charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Not that she committed the murder. They agree. Everybody agrees Fotis murdered Michelle. She was involved in the conspiracy to commit it because she helped clean it up and hide it. So her statements that what they did during the day and she didn't see Fotis until like 6 o'clock that evening. Well, that's not true. She spent the whole day helping Fotis go around hiding the body and cleaning up the crime scenes. And that's part of what they're using with Gumeni, showing that Michelle was around. Michelle knew what was going on. Michelle watched her remove seats out of the truck. Because part of her argument was she never saw Pavel. She never saw this guy. And it's just trying to show that she was lying about where she was the whole time and what she was doing. So this does poke holes in whether or not Michelle had any involvement in this. It's not sinking her, but it's not good. The state is finally contradicting her stories that she provided a couple of days ago. I think last week when she had her interview with the police. So that's what the beginning of this is. And I'm assuming there's more statements from him because we're not even done yet.
And ask that you just familiarize yourself with that. Where would you had mentioned that Mr. Dulos had an older French model bicycle, correct?
Yes.
Where would he ordinarily keep that bicycle?
I remember it was hanging on one of the hooks in the garage. I'm not sure which one was.
Do you see it in this photo?
Could it be the one on the top?
Do you remember being shown this photograph previously and indicating it was not in the photo?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
You've previously been shown that photograph by police, correct?
Yes.
And did you tell them that the bicycle, the French model bicycle, was not in that particular photograph?
Yes.
Just going to publish this. Yeah, that was on. You know, Judge, I'm not going to belabor this point. I have nothing further.
I'll fix it.
Going to show an order.
All right, here we go. Now it's going to get good. Those flowers are very sad. Holy smokes. Ashley, thank you for the 5 memberships. Why are they not showing up? Wonderful Galaxies, did she not know what's going on? I don't know. Maybe she did. But where's it at? Ashley, you said you gave memberships, but I don't see them. Oh, there you are. Yes, thank you for the memberships. Whoever's getting them, I know is going to be happy. Yes, Eric, this is Fotis' project manager, his right-hand man, basically. For many, many years. Right-hand man. And actually, there's a good question here. Haley's saying, could the conspiracy mean she helped plan the murder beforehand? Or that Fotis killed her first without her knowing, and then he had to help her hide it afterwards? The conspiracy is all parts of it. Planning it, making it like actual doing it, like if she helped do it, or if she helped, and the conspiracy also leads to the cover-up of the crime and the prevention of detection of a crime. So it could be conspiracy on both ends. I think that Fotis and Michelle had a fight, and I don't think he planned on killing her, but he probably called Michelle and was like, well, funny story, bring some towels. And Michelle helped cover it up. So In Michelle's case, that is where the conspiracy comes from. But she could have helped plan it and staged supplies. That's not what's being accused here. She's only being accused of covering up on the back end. But very good question. Can he be held liable? No, he's got immunity from the state of Connecticut. So as long as he testifies truthfully, he's safe.
Mr. Gumieni, let's begin with what was talked about yesterday. You were given in December of this past year, so like a month and a half ago, written immunity from prosecution, correct?
Yep.
And this was something that was negotiated between you, your lawyer, and the current state's attorney, correct?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
You were involved in the decision to give you immunity, correct?
Yes,
You understand that immunity means you can't be prosecuted for anything that you did which might have been a crime, correct?
yes,
And it was signed, this exhibit 124, which was entered yesterday, was signed by the state's attorney for this judicial district, correct?
yes,
But you also were under the understanding that there was, as it says here, a verbal, oral immunity that was given to you by the former state's attorney, correct?
yes,
And it says right here that your lawyer, that's Lindy Urzo, correct? Right?
correct,
Informed the state's attorney's office of his belief that Pavel Gumieni had relied on representations made on or about June 2019 by Richard Colangelo Jr., then state's attorney for the Judicial District of Stamford, Norwalk, that Pavel Gumieni may not be charged with the crime of hindering prosecution if he cooperated with the investigation and prosecution of others in connection with the disappearance, etc., of Jennifer Dulos, correct?
correct,
And that was your understanding when you were talking to the police in June of 2019, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes. What I just read to you was your understanding back in June of 2019, correct?
Well, I'm going to object, Your Honor. I think we need a tighter time frame than just June of 2019.
So all it says is June 2019. How can it be more time specific than that?
Well, the question that would appear to be the most clear is, at the time you entered into the, or were told that you would be granted immunity, what was your understanding? That would appear to be the clearer question, but you may ask your question again, Attorney General.
Sure. I just read you what was in this agreement issued by the state's attorney, correct?
Correct,
And was it that your understanding when you were talking to the police back in June of 2019?
yeah, it was just not written down, so when I spoke with my attorney, he told me it's a verbal agreement, it's not, nothing
Nothing in writing.
in writing, so it could be,
But you were told that that would count. It's verbal though, right?
yes,
When you yesterday testified about comments that you recall having, hearing from my client, Michelle Troconis, one after the disappearance and one before, the first time you mentioned that to the state's attorney's office was in January of 2024, correct?
correct,
That was after the written grant of immunity had been given to you, correct?
correct.
Now, did this revelation about these conversations didn't suddenly come to you, did they, in around Christmas of this year, this past Christmas? They didn't just suddenly come to your mind that you had
Just
forgotten
going
to
to
mention
object,
it,
Your
did
Honor.
you?
Compound, argumentative.
Well, this is cross-examination.
Yeah.
So the question is essentially,
I'll rephrase it, Your Honor. So
Yeah.
this didn't just
That's
come to
easier.
you after close to 5 years, did it?
It did,
You hadn't remembered it for almost 5 years and then remembered it after this agreement was granted in December, correct?
I met with the prosecutors sometimes around that time, and they asked me if there's anything else that comes to your memory.
Yeah. And you didn't tell them it then, did you?
No, I didn't.
No. You got a call after your lawyer called the state's attorney's office to tell them, oh, you had something you wanted to add. Isn't that correct? Right after the New Year's?
I don't recall if it was right after the New Year's, but yes,
January 4th? That sound about right?
yes.
And as I understand your statement, and I want to get this correct, you didn't give this most recent statement recorded, right? They didn't videotape that or audio tape it, did they?
No,
You didn't give it to them in writing either, did you?
I don't believe so, no.
But as I understand your statement, let's,
Do you guys know? You notice where he's going with that? Your statement's not been. Your previous statement wasn't recorded and it wasn't written down, because that way you can't be impeached with it or contradicted. Notice how they did that.
talk about the statement after Jennifer Dulos' disappearance. This conversation occurred on the Tuesday after the first day back to work, correct?
Yes,
This would be the same day that Mr. Dulos tried to get you to write out where you were on that Friday, correct?
correct.
Yeah, it sounds like the way Attorney Schoenhorn just said it, he's got immunity from he can't be prosecuted for any of this. So it's a blanket immunity, not just against the hindering. But it sounds like all he did for sure was the hindering. But to make it like worthwhile, the prosecutor's agreeing, fine, I won't agree to prosecute you for any of the crimes, even though, and the only reason why they're saying that is they don't think he committed the other crimes. They don't think he committed the murder. He wasn't involved really in the conspiracy to commit the murder. So that's why they're okay with giving immunity for shit he didn't do, because he didn't do it, so it doesn't matter. If they thought he was involved in the murder, they wouldn't probably cut him the deal that they did. So, Eric's saying it's not binding. If they make a verbal promise to him, that is the police and the prosecution, specifically the prosecutor, make a promise of immunity, and it's communicated to an attorney and him, that's binding. Even though it's not written down, that is binding. Otherwise, he's pretty much going to get out of, like, walk free at that point. So, let me see here. Tilly, you're saying, well, if they gave me blanket immunity, you would just confess the whole lot of it. Well, they know you didn't commit it, so now you're lying. So now you're committing perjury. On top of perjury, you're also now going to get charged with tampering with evidence, and they will seek to put you in prison. So that doesn't go well for you at that point. That doesn't go well for you at that point. I get what you're saying, though. Also, I don't think he likes Fotis, so he's not going to help him out.
And at some point, as I understand your testimony yesterday, you said that Mr. Troconis was looking for a wheelbarrow to move firewood, correct?
Correct.
So I just want to be clear. Had you helped her move firewood before to the porch, to the house?
I don't recall it.
You know that they would use the fireplace, correct?
Yes,
And that there was firewood that would be stacked up on that outside back porch?
I don't recall it.
Well, you said that you were taking firewood from a shed,
Yes,
right? Did you ever help gather any of that firewood?
that was the first time I helped Michelle.
The first time you helped Michelle, but had you helped put firewood in that shed before?
In the shed?
Yeah.
Yes,
Because that was the firewood that was used in the fireplace in the house, correct?
I believe so.
And this would be while you were getting the wheelbarrow or while you were getting the firewood that you had this conversation?
What do you mean by this?
The one about after the disappearance where you testified yesterday about the firewood and the wheelbarrow. Was it getting the firewood itself or just getting the wheelbarrow to put firewood in?
He was getting the firewood from the woodshed and putting it on the back porch.
And she was with you at this point, right?
Yes,
And you testified she was upset, correct? She was very upset, right?
yes,
And she was telling you that her face and her daughter's face was all over the internet, correct?
correct.
Her daughter was 12 years old at the time, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And there they were being connected to the disappearance of Mrs. Dulos, correct?
Correct.
By all this internet stuff, correct?
Correct.
And she was upset about that, right? Right?
Yes,
And you knew there was a lot of publicity about this, right?
yes,
In fact, you had searched a lot of it online over the weekend, correct?
correct.
You told the police you had been looking at all the news stories about it, right?
I don't recall telling him, but.
But you at least tell us today, you did search and see all these stories about it, right? And trying to connect at that point Fotis Dulos to the disappearance, right?
At that point, no.
Well, it was mentioning him about the divorce and everything, wasn't it?
Wait, I object to the question. I thought he was asking Mr. Gumini whether or not Mr. Gumini was trying to make a connection. Is he
Well,
talking
the
about?
court
Oh, I thought if you
Well,
thought
the
that.
court understands the question to be, what did you read from those news reports?
Yes.
I don't recall it at that time, over that weekend, what was on the news already.
The point being that both Mr. Dulos's name and my client's name were being connected to stories about the disappearance, correct?
Possible.
And she was upset about the fact, particularly, that her daughter was being blasted on the social media and the internet, correct?
I didn't see her daughter on the media, but that's what she said, yes.
Okay. And what she said to you was, you told this to the inspectors last month, was that she is, that, let's put the profanity aside for a minute, but referring to Ms. Dulos, that she was playing games, right?
Yes.
Correct. She said she is playing games, right? Her picture and my picture are on the internet, right?
Yes.
And then she said, I'm going to kill that bee when she turns up. Isn't that what she said to you?
Yes.
And you thought the same thing at that time, didn't you?
Just going to object, Your Honor, relevance.
Well, the question is a bit confusing. You thought the same thing about what?
I'll rephrase. You thought she might turn up, Ms. Dulos, didn't you, at that point?
Yes.
You believed Mr. Dulos when he had said that, she may have just disappeared and run away, correct?
Yes.
And he told you she had done it before, right?
Yes.
And I take it also, though, that based on your testimony from yesterday, you had at least a friendly relationship with Mrs. Dulos, particularly when she was living in Farmington, correct?
Correct.
You actually helped her, according to your testimony, move her stuff down, you said, to Pound Ridge, right?
Correct.
And for the record, where is Pound Ridge?
Downtown.
I'm not sure. I think it's New York.
But it's near Fairfield County, right? It's over the border somewhere.
I don't recall it.
Did you actually physically move her belongings to a house at Pound Ridge
Yes.
in your truck?
Don't remember which vehicle.
I'm sorry?
I don't remember which vehicle.
All right. But you made multiple trips for her, didn't you?
Correct.
When she was moving out of the house, you were moving things down to a house she either owned or was renting in Pound Ridge, New York, right?
That was house that was, that her family owned.
Oh, it was a family-owned house. Okay, that's correct?
Correct.
You didn't tell Mr. Dulos that you were helping Jennifer Dulos move, did you?
No.
You wanted to keep that kind of confidential, I take it.
I don't recall it.
Now, the other thing that you said is around Greek Easter, there was an incident involving a conversation you had with Michelle Troconis around the illness of the dog, right?
Right.
Now, I just want to be clear about one thing. Mr. Dulos was very upset about his dog getting very, very ill, right?
Correct.
This was a Labrador Golden Lab that had been owned by the family for many years, correct?
Correct.
You probably, I don't know if you know, but did you know the dog the entire time you worked for Mr. Dulos?
Can you explain the question?
Yeah, had you seen the dog at the house the entire time you were working for the four?
He's like, what do you mean
And
those
was the
dogs?
dog there when the children were little?
Yes.
Was it a friendly dog?
Very.
Did you ever play with it or pet it or anything?
It was always sitting under my desk in the office.
It was always in the office.
Yes.
So even after
Aw.
Mrs. Dulos moved
Good
out,
numbers.
that dog was kind of attached to Mr. Dulos and the staff, right?
Yes.
Good wholesome.
Did you ever walk the dog or go out and play with it?
Possible.
And you saw that it was getting sick, right?
Yes.
Now, I want to be clear about one thing. You're the one that took, the name of the dog is Beckham, right?
Correct.
And the reason that you took Beckham to the vet, correct?
Correct.
Because there was, whatever was wrong, then they needed to do blood work and stuff, right?
I don't remember what was wrong, but I did look into the vet.
Do you recall, though, that you went with Miss Troconis' father, Carlos, to the vet?
I don't recall it.
You don't recall having a conversation with Fotis that because Miss Carlos,
I mean, you guys could hear me there. I was just saying, he's like, what do you mean no dog? There was dog. Poor little puppers. Can we have an F in the chats for the good boy? When you guys had a question, though, what is the whole Greek Easter thing? Yeah, Orthodox. What's Orthodox Easter? Because they're Orthodox. They're not. It's not. It's not Catholic Easter. It's Orthodox Easter. So, yeah.
As a doctor, it might be better for him to accompany you to the vet. He would learn more, know more. Does that ring a bell?
I don't recall that.
You don't recall that. Okay. In any event, were you in the room when the vet said that, the dog is dying and something needs to be done?
Was I in the room?
When the veterinarian said that?
I don't recall it.
You had a conversation, though, with Mr. Dulos about the fact they had to now euthanize the dog. You know what that means?
Yes.
You were so you know what it means. So my next question is, were you in the conversation with Mr. Dulos when he said he had to euthanize the dog?
At Fort Jefferson, not at the vet.
Oh, no, back at Fort Jefferson, right?
Yes.
And he was very upset about that, wasn't he?
Very sad.
And what you said yesterday is, as I understood it, is Mr. Dulos wanted to allow the children to see their dog one more time before it had to be put to sleep, correct?
Correct.
And he was upset because his wife said no, right?
Yes.
Your testimony from yesterday also, as I understand it, was that when he said that and he talked about how upset he was, you said that my client said something with profanity that she should be, I want to get it correct here. That bitch should be buried next to the dog. That's your testimony, right?
Correct.
And you said that it was an effort, you saw it as an effort for Mr. Troconis to cheer up Fotis, right?
That's how I understood.
So like as a joke, right? A sick joke, but still a joke, right?
I wouldn't call it a joke, but yeah.
You're cheering somebody up with some humor, right?
Not that kind of humor, but yeah.
Okay.
We not use humor like that in Poland.
Now, it's your testimony that she used the profanity in this conversation. Is it your testimony that Michelle often used profanity, swear words in English in her conversations around you?
I don't recall it.
Ever before, right?
She might, but I don't recall it.
Okay. So sometime over the weekend of Memorial Day, you found out that Jennifer was missing, right?
Yes.
And that was on the weekend, that would have been on the Sunday, I believe you testified, you found it out?
I believe so, yes.
And you received a phone call from Fotis Dulos in the afternoon where he told you that his wife was missing, correct?
Correct.
But you also had a conversation that you would not be back to work until Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day, correct?
Correct.
On that Sunday is when you started searching about the missing wife of Fotis Dulos, isn't that correct?
I don't recall it, but if it's in my phone search history, I don't deny it.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking is the police, in fact, in one of the interviews, said to you that they had your phone data, correct?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. The police in one of their interviews in June or July of 2019 told you that after they seized your phone, they were downloading the data from it. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And one of the things that they told you was that you were searching about the disappearance. Does that ring a bell?
Possible, yes.
So it was at least something of interest to you to see how much news media coverage there was, right?
I wouldn't say how much news coverage was it. Like I could have seen it on TV or something and starts researching it.
You were curious about the investigation, weren't you?
I was curious about what's going on.
But as you said multiple times yesterday, you were certain that at that time that Fotis Dulos had nothing to do with it, right?
Right.
And I also just want to be clear, you weren't sure which day you saw my client and Mr. Dulos in the kitchen. Do you remember testifying yesterday about Mr. Dulos wanting to write down where you were on Friday? Remember that?
Objection states the testimony, Judge.
Well, of course, what was said yesterday is not as fresh as what is said today. So the court is going to allow the question.
Can you repeat the question?
Do you remember testifying yesterday that there was a time when you went into the kitchen after Memorial Day and you saw Fotis Dulos and my client there?
Yes.
Mr. Dulos at that time had told you that the police had taken his phone away the previous Saturday, right?
He didn't tell me when, but he told me that his phone was taken away, yes.
And that's why he asked if he could look through your phone to see what time you had called him and what time you had texted him and things like that, right?
He asked me, yes, he asked me if I was calling him, and then I started looking in the phone, and he asked me if he can see my phone.
And you, according to what you told the police, it was to see if the times could be defined, correct? Pinpointed.
Possible.
This also was not the day that your Tacoma was brought to the car wash, correct?
I'm not sure if that was the same day in the afternoon. You're talking about Tuesday now, right?
Yeah.
Or the next day?
Well, that's why I'm asking. It wasn't the time when you came back and saw that your car in the afternoon had been washed and cleaned was not the same day as this conversation in the kitchen about the writing down what you did on Friday and looking at your phone, correct?
I'm not sure if that was the same day or not.
You went down to New Canaan that Tuesday?
I don't
Which
recall.
Tuesday? The day after Memorial Day?
I don't recall it.
Didn't you say yesterday that when you you stopped into the office before going down to New Canaan?
Yes.
All right, so that refreshes your
Yes,
recollection from
yes,
yesterday, right?
yes, thank you.
Okay. And you were down in New Canaan that Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day, with which vehicle?
I believe white Jeep truck.
You had had your Tacoma all weekend long, right?
Correct.
We just saw minutes ago an image of your Tacoma with the, you called it the dirt bike in the back of that vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Now, I want to be clear about this. You keep calling this a dirt bike, but it was actually a motocross motorcycle, right?
This is what it's called among dirt bike riders. This is what it's called. It's called dirt bike.
All right. But this is a registered motor vehicle, correct?
Yeah.
You didn't register it though, did you?
No.
In fact, you were supposed to pay Mr. Troconis to buy that motorcycle. Isn't that
Such a
right?
bad boy. No,
You were
no
not.
license
I
plate.
paid Mr. Dulos for that
Real
motorcycle.
lawbreakers.
You knew it was my client's motorcycle though, didn't you?
Yes.
You never paid her anything, right?
Correct.
You never got any title for it, did you?
Yes. Correct.
That's correct, right? And in fact, after Mr. Troconis had to move out of 4 Jefferson Crossing, she asked for it back, right?
I don't recall when she asked for it back.
Well, it was after I was her lawyer, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because you remember meeting me to return the bike at a parking lot in Avon, correct?
I didn't meet you. I saw you.
Okay. How long did this interaction with Mr. Dulos in the kitchen take place before you went down to New Canaan on that Tuesday after Memorial Day?
I don't recall it.
An hour?
Possible.
As you already testified, you didn't need to keep track of your time, did you?
Yes.
I'm correct about that? You didn't
Yes.
have to, you didn't punch a clock, right?
Correct.
You didn't have to write down your hours?
Correct.
So you came and went, as long as the job got done, Dulos was happy, and the 4 group got its projects done on time, right?
Correct.
You testified that Mr. Dulos was trying to get you to write down what you did on Friday, but you said, I know what I did. I don't need to write it down. Remember saying that?
Not exact the words that you said, but
Well, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not using your exact words. I would have to order a transcript. But am I correct that that was the scenario? Yes, what you said yesterday?
Correct.
And Mr. Dulos was being kind of pushy about it, right?
I believe he said that was a suggestion of his lawyer.
Okay, well, let's get into it. You knew he had more than one lawyer, right?
At that time, I didn't know he had any lawyers. I mean, that was the first time I heard that he has a lawyer.
Well, didn't you testify that whenever he was meeting with his lawyer that that he would ask that, you know, you not come in or that you do this, that he meet privately with the lawyer?
That was divorce lawyer, I believe.
That's the divorce lawyer. But did you also know that the Farber family, that is Jennifer's family, was suing the Ford Group?
I don't recall it if I knew about that at that time.
You did not know.
I don't recall it.
Okay. So all you knew was that he was meeting with a lawyer, right?
I believe he told me divorce lawyer.
That's what you believe. Did you know who Kent Mawhinney was?
I never met Ken Moy.
Do you know who he was?
Do I know now who he was?
No. Did you know then who he was?
I don't believe so, no. I never met Ken Moy.
So you didn't know Mr. Mawhinney was one of Mr. Dulos' lawyers back then?
I remember prior to 2016, when I was applying for my green card, he mentioned someone to me, but I'm not sure if that was Kent Moy. He mentioned some lawyer that he was helping him or his mom with obtaining legal status in this country. So it's possible that's when I heard of Kent Moy.
All of these conversations that we're now talking about, this was before you replaced the seats in your Tacoma, right?
Correct.
And it was before Mr. Dulos asked you to replace those seats, isn't it true?
It is.
It's about 11:15. We'll stand in our morning recess. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not discuss the case.
Yes, it's a dirt bike, so let's see what's going on there. He's doing good, though. He's a credit to his race. Jeez. Ugh. All right. So, yeah, this is actually being pretty fruitful testimony. Cross is going pretty well here. That he, you know, what exactly does he know? And not too much. So here we go. Time travel. Whoop, 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 whoop. Up. Here we go.
Yeah, so.
Uh-oh, AV problems.
Is that screen on?
Yes.
All right, before we put on the monitor, I'm just going to show you an image and tell me if you recognize that. This was from exhibit Y for identification. Would you just look at that image, please? It's not the screen yet. It was just for it hasn't been offered as a full yet. Okay. Do you recognize that to be Beckham?
I don't see it.
Oh, is it on the line?
Is the screen on in front of him?
Is this screen on?
It was, and
Oh, if this shut them both off.
Right.
You just have to hit the button on the bottom.
On the bottom?
I can do it. Okay. That may just look very nice. The remote handle.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy them.
It won't be on our screen.
can you go to one more time?
All right, since the only screen that's on is this
Yes,
one.
I
we'll
wanted to
stand
see the
here.
dog too.
Do you recognize that to be Beckham?
It looks like it, yes.
And does that fairly and accurately look the way he looked at the end of April of 2019 after he'd just come back from the vet?
I don't recall seeing him when he came back from the vet.
Didn't you bring him back? You have a bandage on his arm?
I don't recall that, no.
You do not.
It must be someone else who brought him back.
But do you recognize that to be Beckham?
So that attorney right there, that's the interpreter. That's not an attorney. So that's the interpreter. He's talking. He's covering his hand over his mouth. He's interpreting for Michelle. Now, that said, Pavel's got his attorney sitting in the courtroom as well because he has the right to counsel still. So that's what's going on there. But this is the interpreter. So that is not an attorney.
Can't tell that one golden retriever.
It's a golden retriever. It looks like it, but
Does look like Beckham, right? All right. And that would be what he would look like at the end of April 2019, around the time you brought him to the vet?
possible.
All right. I'd offer that image, Your Honor.
I object to the image on relevance grounds, Judge, and also the fact that it hasn't been authenticated as the dog.
Well, relevant.
The relevance is that it does show that the dog had been at the vet, it's bandaged, it had blood work done. That's
Okay.
the purpose of this image.
Yes, Michelle is a native of Venezuela, so English is her second language. She has the right to have a court interpreter, and provided by the court. This is not paid for by her, but a court-provided interpreter because English is not her primary language. Spanish is her first language because she is from Venezuela. The home of Omar Vizquel and Maduro. So that is why there's an interpreter there. Speaking a little Espanol.
That's a fact, but of course, relevant evidence is evidence that has any tendency to make a material fact more likely or less likely than it would be without the evidence. So what's the material fact for which this offer is made?
The fact that there might have been animal blood in the Suburban when this dog was brought in the other Suburban, that is the one from Mr.
That's a
Dulos,
good
the
point.
dog was taken.
Do you wish to respond, counsel?
Animal blood in the Suburban?
Well, that's the claim on relevance. Do you wish to be heard?
Yeah, I object on relevance grounds. There's absolutely no nexus between that event and also animal blood that comes back as a profile to Jennifer Dulos. I don't see how this is relevant at all. And with respect to the Suburban, which Suburban are we referring to?
The 2015 Suburban, for which there was zero evidence of Jennifer Dulos.
Well, this is now an effort to
Oh.
waft into the
Okay, now you guys are doing this in front of the jury. This probably shouldn't be discussed in front of the jury. But yes, blood that comes back as positive is Jennifer Dulos. I don't think we've gotten to that point yet. Holy Jesus, Judge. Why are you doing this in front of the jury? God. Ugh. This gives me the heebie-jeebies.
jury box, either evidence that has been admitted or evidence that has yet to be adduced. So if the objection is relevant, the court is not certain in which vehicle the animal was transported to the vet.
I will lay that foundation.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Gumieni, Beckham was taken to the vet in Fotis Dulos' Suburban, wasn't he?
I'm not sure if that was Suburban or the Jeep.
Well, the Jeep was newer, right?
What do you mean newer?
The Jeep was in better condition, a newer vehicle, right?
Possibly, yes.
So it's your testimony that you don't recall that you brought the dog to the vet in the Suburban because it was a larger vehicle.
I'm not sure what vehicle that I brought them to.
So you're not disputing the fact that you used the Suburban, right?
I'm not disputing them.
You drove, I believe you testified, you drove any of the vehicles that belonged to the Ford Group, right?
Yes,
On any given day, right?
very, very rarely the Suburban.
But you preferred the Jeep is what you said, right?
Yes,
But you drove the Raptor, right?
yes,
And you also drove the Suburban, right?
not work related. And it was only driving
Sure.
Jennifer to airport, Fotis to airport, and
Bringing the
kids.
dog maybe to the vet?
I don't deny it, possibly.
Okay, I would offer it again, Your Honor.
Well, Judge, I object. First of all, there's still no evidence that this is in fact Beckham the dog, number one. Number two, there's no evidence that Beckham the dog was actually transported in the particular vehicle, apparently, which Mr. Schoenhorst is trying to make the connection to. Number three, there's no evidence where Beckham was in the vehicle. Number four, there is no evidence that Beckham bled in the vehicle. I just don't see the relevance of this at all, quite frankly, at
Well,
this point.
the issue is not at this point whether the state considers certain evidence strong or weak. If the testimony from the witness is that he can't remember whether he transported the dog in the Suburban or any other vehicle, he said he did not deny that it could have been the Suburban, and that there was a possibility of animal blood being in the Suburban. The court is going to overrule the objection.
Did you know, is the large screen on?
I was not expecting that.
The screen is still on.
It's on.
Oh, it is? So you said that this conversation took place around Greek Easter, correct?
Which conversation?
The conversation with Michelle about Beckham took place around Greek Easter, correct?
That's what I said, yes.
And Greek Easter in 2019 was just around April 27th, wasn't it?
I don't recall it when the Greek Easter was, but
Greek Easter is a different,
if this is what it says on the calendar, then
it's different than, let's say, regular Easter, right? Catholic Easter, right? Yes?
yes.
All right. Do you remember Beckham coming back from the vet before he was having to be put down?
I don't. The last time I saw Beckham was when I left him at the bed.
Well, when Mr. Dulos told you how upset he was that the children wouldn't get to see the dog before he was euthanized, wasn't Beckham still alive?
He was.
He was very sick, though.
Objection, Judge. May he finish
Oh.
his answer?
Well, the witness was not given an opportunity.
Very well. You
My
had-
understanding at that time was that the Beckham was still at the vet.
He was still at the vet and not brought back to the house?
My understanding was at that time, yes.
That you knew that the dog was going to be euthanized, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your working for the FOR group. You said you started working for the FOR group full-time since 2016, correct?
On the books, yes.
Well, when you say on the book, so before that you were working, what, under the table? Is that what that means?
As a subcontractor.
As a subcontractor. You were being paid as a, well, I guess you'd call it 1099 employee?
Correct.
You also said that before that you were working at another building company doing framing, right?
Correct.
You also talked about when you got your green card, and you were talking about that yesterday, correct?
Correct.
So based on your math, you were working before you got your green card, isn't that true?
True.
But you had known Fotis Dulos for several years, even prior to working for him as a contract employee under a 1099 form, right?
Correct.
I think you said that you knew him since, what, 2004 or 5?
About that time.
That's about right?
Yes.
He was already building homes back then, right?
Yes.
They're kind of his brand, if you will, were kind of luxury, large homes, right?
Correct.
You also did other, I'll call them odd jobs, but maybe chores for Mr. Dulos that were not part of your regular FOR group responsibilities, correct?
Can you explain the chores?
Well, you mowed lawns, right?
Yes.
You would sometimes, like you just said, bring firewood up to the house.
I don't recall it, but possible.
You would fix things that broke in the house, sinks and whatnot.
Yes.
And your schedule depended upon the particular project, right?
In which time period are you talking about?
Well, let's talk about 2018 and 2019 while working for the FOR group.
2018 and 2019, I was full-time employee.
Right, I'm talking about your schedule, though. Like when you would come in, when you'd go to the job, how long you stayed, depended on the project, right?
Correct.
And it depended upon what needed to be done at a particular time, right?
Right.
If you needed to meet with a subcontractor installing plumbing or fixtures, you would have to meet that person to let them in, be there while they were doing their work, at least part of the time, correct?
I don't have to be there. Usually I would meet with the contractor with his first day on the job.
After that, you would have to check to make sure it's done,
I was just check on him every now and then.
Your hours were flexible. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yes.
Nobody checked. You didn't have to like write down where you were going at any particular time, right?
Correct.
You also indicated, as I understand it, that you didn't socialize with Fotis Dulos outside of work, correct?
Correct.
But you did go to certain dinner parties and events that took place at Mr. Dulos's home, right?
Right.
In fact, Greek Easter that year, there was a large gathering outside on the porch with what, 15, 20, maybe more people, right?
I don't recall it.
You don't recall sitting out on the,
I recall it being there. I don't recall that there was 15 or 20 people.
you don't remember almost all of Michelle Troconis' family had flown from all over the country to be there?
I remember some of them.
And other members of the staff came to that dinner as well?
Yes.
It's also true that Mr. Dulos himself liked to cook. Is that true?
Yeah.
You also testified that Mr. Dulos would be in the office many times, correct? While you were there?
Correct.
You worked at the same, was it the same large desk? And you had a different workstation, or did you have a separate desk?
I have a separate desk.
Was it in the same room as the large glass conference table?
No.
Was it in the room, one of the side rooms that was there?
Yes.
But you had your own workspace, correct?
Correct.
And you could let yourself into the office at any time, correct?
Correct.
There was a separate entrance to the four group offices, right?
Right.
In fact, people would often come in to the office without even having to go through the residence portion of that home, correct?
Most of the time.
You weren't always in that office though, were you?
What do you mean?
It wasn't a desk job, your position as a project manager.
I think it's fair to say that I'd spend more time on the job site than in the office.
Like I said, so you were able to go out,
Well, that was
be at the job site, supervise, correct?
Correct.
Sometimes you would run out and buy parts or get something that was needed at the house, right?
What do you mean by the house?
For the job site, you might have to pick up something for the job site yourself, right?
Yes.
That was part of your job, right?
Correct.
And you were responsible for making sure that subcontractors showed up when they were supposed to show up, right?
Correct.
And got the job done when they were supposed to get it done.
Correct.
You talked to Mr. Dulos almost every workday?
As needed.
Well, there would at least be either a text or a communication, verbal or
I mean, we can
email.
try.
Almost every day you were working, correct?
I wouldn't say every day. Could have been days without communication.
Mr. Dulos did travel a fair bit, correct?
Travel.
What?
What do you mean by travel?
Travel, like not be in Farmington at the Ford Group, he'd be someplace else.
Yeah.
You knew that you knew that he was big into water skiing, right?
Yes.
He was actually competitive in water skiing, wasn't he? He would participate in tournaments, right?
Right.
And he would travel to go to those tournaments, right?
I think it's fair to say that, yeah.
And you've been doing that the whole time that you knew him, right?
At the very beginning, I didn't know about this water skiing.
But when you came to work for him as a full-time employee, you knew, right?
Yeah.
You knew that some of his children also were into competitive water skiing, right?
Correct.
And you mentioned the pond, right? You said that yesterday?
Correct.
Had you ever been to the pond?
Yes.
So you knew who Mr. Haynes was, right? The owner of the pond?
Yes.
Hutch, they called him Hutch, right?
Correct.
You'd met him, right?
Yes.
He was a friend of Mr. Dulos as well?
I believe so, yes.
And I think you were asked if you ever water skied, and I can't remember, you said that wasn't something you liked to do?
Hey, Dulos offered me, but
Didn't appeal to you?
not really, no.
And they call it a pond, but it's really a lake with a jumping on these ramps, right?
Correct.
When you were in the office, you might be there an entire day without knowing who was in the residence part of the house, correct?
Correct.
It was a big enough house that people could be walking and talking in one of the other rooms in the house portion. You would have no idea whether they were there or not, correct?
Correct.
People park sometimes in the back of the building. That is, you go through the archway to the rear of the house, right?
Yes.
People can park outside on a pavement area behind the house, right?
Right.
You also testified that you would put your Tacoma. Well, let me ask you this. Where did you usually park your Tacoma if you were leaving it at 4 Jefferson Crossing?
At the back parking spot.
At some point, you started parking it in the garage, correct?
Correct.
You testified that your truck was leaking oil, right?
Right.
You testified it was also, as I understand it, leaking steering fluid.
That's the same thing.
So the hydraulic line for the steering was leaking, correct?
Correct.
By the way, when people came to the office, would they park in the driveway in the front, or would they pull into the back through the archway?
Can you specify what people?
Customers, I mean, people that were coming there for the to visit the 4 group offices.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say both
Where?
front and back.
They would park in the front as well as back? What about employees? Would they park in the front of the garages?
Mainly on the back of the house, yes.
What about real estate agents, realtors?
Mainly on the back of the house.
What about customers? That is, people who are coming maybe to buy one of the houses or look at plans for houses.
Customers would park in front of the house and behind the house.
There weren't any signs that said no parking in front of the garages or anything, were there?
No.
There was also one of these long, shall we say, curved crescent driveways, right?
Correct.
Did any people ever park closer to the front of the house and point their vehicles out back towards Jefferson Crossing on the other side where the garages were?
Possible.
The first time that you spoke to police officers in connection with this case was on May 31st, 2019, right?
That was
That Friday.
after
31st.
Jennifer's disappearance.
Sorry?
The Friday after Jennifer's disappearance.
The Friday after Jennifer's disappearance. That's the first time you spoke to the police about it, right?
Correct.
You were in the Jeep.
Yes.
You were driving to drop off tools at the office that day, right?
Right.
You said you saw a number of cars there, right?
Correct.
They were all gray, either SUVs or the kind of vehicles that looked like state police cars, weren't they?
I don't recall if they were all right.
Well, you believe they were police vehicles, correct?
At first sight, I didn't know who was.
You saw people standing in the driveway, correct?
Correct.
Weren't they wearing vests that said police or state police on them?
I don't recall it, no.
You don't recall that. So, as I understand you then, you see people are in the driveway, but you're not curious to drive in to see what's going on, right?
Correct.
Total stranger standing around and you just drove past the residence, right?
Right.
Past the office, right?
Yes.
Not even pulling in the second entrance, right?
Correct.
You pulled in to, you said you went all the way down to the end of Jefferson Crossing and there's a dead end cul-de-sac there, right?
Right.
You turned around the cul-de-sac and started coming back, right?
Right.
Now, this was your office space, wasn't it? For Jefferson Crossing?
Right.
You had every right to be there, right?
Right.
So the reason you didn't want to go into that driveway is you did not want to have to talk to the police, correct?
I didn't know if that was the police at that time.
You thought some random people were standing on the property.
I don't remember what I was thinking 5 years ago.
You didn't see any couples looking to buy that house, did you?
No.
You did stop your car as you were driving back towards Eli Road, didn't you?
Correct.
That's when the police came on the road and told you to stop, right?
Right.
Then you did recognize that they were police officers, right?
I believe so.
You're not sure? You just stopped for some random person?
Yes.
Did you roll down the window?
Possible, yes.
You don't know?
Like, it might have been rolled down already.
The Jeep was air conditioned, right?
Right.
And although May 31st was still spring, it was warm enough you could use the air conditioning, right?
Right.
Do you remember that the person who approached you was a detective named Butin?
Correct.
The same one who interviewed you a couple of times that you testified about yesterday, right?
Correct.
Detective Butin asked you where you were coming from, didn't he?
He did.
You told him you were coming from New Canaan, right?
Right.
You didn't tell him at that point that you were actually over at 585 Deercliff, did you? In Avon.
At that time, no.
You didn't tell him you'd been at a junkyard in Southington for a couple of hours, did you?
No.
You didn't tell him you'd been to a second, I don't know if it was a junkyard or used car parts place in Avon?
Not Avon.
You did, you what?
Not Avon, no.
What town was the second place in?
I believe Berlin.
Berlin. So you went from Southington down to Berlin, right?
Correct.
So Berlin's even further south from Farmington, isn't it?
Possible.
It's below New Britain, right?
I don't know.
Well, you know what the Berlin Turnpike is, right?
Yes.
Don't you go down and the next town's Meriden?
I don't know. I would have to look on them up.
Fair enough. In any event, you didn't mention that you'd been in Berlin, right?
To the police.
To the police?
No.
No. And you didn't mention that you'd also gone to the AutoZone in either Avon or Canton, wherever it's located, right?
Correct.
And that's on Route 44, right?
Correct.
They did take you out of the, asked you to step out, right?
Yes.
And they frisked you, right? You said that they asked you if you had any weapons or anything else? They asked about drugs or anything?
I believe so.
All right. But in any event, they frisked you, correct?
Correct.
Did you give them permission to do that, or did they just do it anyway?
Just going to object relevance.
Relevance.
It's within the scope of direct, Your Honor.
Well, whether he gave permission may go to what his state of mind was. But the fact that he was searched or patted down is already in evidence. So what the court is going to do, the court does not know for what reason the question was asked, if the court does not prepare the case for the defense or the case for the state. But it may, because it may go to his state of mind, the court's going to overrule the objection.
Can I answer?
Sure.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Did you give them permission at that point to search you?
I don't recall if they asked me.
In any event, after they searched you, Detective Butin suggested that you had been untruthful to him about where you were coming from. Isn't that correct?
I don't recall that.
Didn't he say you're too soaking wet to have just been driving up from New Canaan in an air-conditioned car, or words to that effect?
I believe he said something that I was sweaty, and what was I doing?
Okay. And it's at that point you told him you had been removing seats from your boss's car down the road in Avon, right?
Correct.
But you didn't tell, and you did indicate to him that you were going to put those seats in your own truck, right? You told him that.
Correct.
You had them in the back of the Porsche seats in the back of your vehicle at that point, right? The Jeep.
Correct.
But even then, you didn't tell him, oh, it's also looking at junkyards in Berlin and Southington. You didn't tell him that, right?
Nobody asked.
Well, he asked where you'd been, or where you're coming from, and
My understanding was where you've been earlier that day, and that's what I told him. I was coming down from Ukraine.
well, earlier in that day, he wasn't asking where you were coming from at that moment.
I believe I understood where I was coming from earlier that day. I can't remember.
Okay. But again, you only volunteered even Avon when they questioned the truthfulness of your answer about New Canaan, right?
He asked me why was I sweaty, and I told him that I was removing seats from Cayenne in Avon. Yes, correct.
A couple of days later, the police showed up at your house, you said on June 2nd, right?
Was that Sunday?
Sunday, yeah.
Correct.
If May 31st was a Friday, right, you agreed June 2nd would have been a Sunday, correct?
Correct.
At that time, they took your phone, right?
They asked for my permission to appear on the phone, yes.
But you said you gave them permission, but that wasn't the whole scenario, was it?
Can you rephrase the question?
Yeah. You got Mr. Urzo on the phone about the fact that the police wanted to take your phone, didn't you?
From my best recollection, I told him that I agree with them to take my phone, and I asked if I can just call Mr. Urso to speak to him about it.
And you know this interaction with the police was recorded, don't you?
Now I do, yes.
You didn't know then?
No.
But you know that Mr. Urzo, in your presence, told the police they didn't have a warrant.
Objection,
Right?
Judge, relevance.
Well, what is happening is that this whole conversation is being recounted. So what Attorney Urso told his client has to relate to something other than just a chronology of the dialogue. So, counsel, what is the relevance of Mr. Attorney Urso telling Mr. Gumieni that the police needed a warrant?
It goes directly to this witness's credibility about whether he gave permission or not and what the circumstances.
Well, the fact that this witness has a attorney-client relationship with Attorney Urso, and that Attorney Urso told him the police need a warrant.
No, Your Honor. Mr. Urso told the police on a recording that they needed a warrant.
So what is the question?
In your presence, did Mr. Urso tell the police that they needed a warrant to take your phone?
And there's an objection.
There's an objection on relevance grounds, Judge.
And when you talk about a recording, counsel, this is a recording that is not in evidence, correct?
Correct.
Court is going to sustain the objection.
The police told you whatever Mr. Urso said something to the police, correct? In your presence, right?
Correct.
And then the police said to you that if you did not agree to give them your phone, it would be months before you'd get it back, didn't they?
Correct.
So it was only after they said that you agreed to let them have your phone, right?
I agreed to let them have my phone at first when they asked me, if I remember it correctly. And then I told Detective Newton if I can just call my attorney and just speak with him, make sure he's okay with it.
And then you put Mr. Urso, your attorney, on with the police, right?
Yes.
On speakerphone, right? And that was when the subject, that if they didn't have a warrant, they couldn't take it.
Objection.
Was raised, correct?
Objection,
Well,
Judge.
the court already indicated that, unless it was not clear, the discussion of the warrant is not relevant. There's already been evidence that the police, at least through the question, told Mr. Gumieni that it would be months before he could get back the phone under certain circumstances. Sustained.
In any event, the police said if you wanted to see your phone back faster, you got to give them permission to take it. Isn't that what they said to you?
At some point, I remember saying that, yeah.
Okay, that's them saying it to you, right?
Yeah.
And then they gave you, then you gave them permission to take it, right?
I'm not sure if I gave him permission to take it prior to that or after to that.
Mr. Gumieni, wasn't it after the whole conversation we just talked to about that you agreed to let them get your phone because they said that you'd get it back faster?
My understanding was, I agreed with them to take my phone and downloaded it. And I called Mr. Urso just to make sure he's okay with it. From what I remember, Mr. Urso said, no, they need a warrant. They can seize it, but they can't search it until they have a warrant. And I explained to Mr. Urso that I have nothing to hide, and I want him to download my phone. This is how I remember it.
Do you remember the part that I've asked you about that the police said if
believe
they had
that
to
was-
get in, if they had to do those steps, it would be months before you saw the phone again?
I believe that was after, yes.
Okay. The police came back to your home on June 6, 2019, correct? 4 days later?
I don't recall the date, but
A few days later after that first encounter?
yes.
Incidentally, on that first day, they wanted to take the Jeep, didn't they?
Can you specify what you mean by first date?
Yeah, the Jeep, when they came on June 2nd, wasn't the Jeep parked in your driveway?
Yes.
They wanted to take it, right?
I believe that was the second visit,
On the June 6th date, they wanted to take it?
Sunday, right?
Well, Sunday's the 2nd.
Judge, if I may, there was 2 separate trips by the police on June 2nd to Mr. Gumieni's house, and he's indicating it was the second visit. So perhaps if counsel can clarify which visit he's referring to when they wanted to take the Jeep.
All right, I thought it was one, but there were 2 separate times they came to your house that Sunday?
Yes,
Same officers?
I believe so, yes.
At some point when they were there, you had already found out that Mr. Dulos had been arrested, right? The night before.
I don't remember if I was aware of that.
For either of those visits on June 2nd by the police?
I don't remember.
In any event, they wanted to take the Jeep, correct?
Correct.
But you didn't give them permission to do it because it belonged to the Ford Group, right?
I don't recall it.
Let me jump to June 6th. You recall, I believe what you were testifying, that they wanted you to show them where the power line trail was in the water company property, right?
Correct.
Where you had ridden, how many times, let me interrupt that. How many times had you ridden motorcycling in the power line trail with Mr. Dulos?
Twice.
Twice?
Yes.
And on your own, had you gone on the power line trail?
Never.
That trail has got a lot of large gravel, correct?
Yeah.
It's a power line trail for large utility vehicles, correct?
Yes.
It's very steep in some places, right?
I would call it steep.
In the area around Route 44, aren't there cliffs and whatnot? You have to wind up and around to stay on the trail?
Yeah, but that's not a trail for power line trucking.
Well, the power lines themselves are on this steep gravel road, correct?
Yes, but there's no gravel in that particular area you're talking about.
Because it's cliffs
Correct.
and rocks, right? Very difficult if you don't have a wide tired vehicle, correct?
Correct.
In fact, when you first agreed to go with the police, you were going to take your other vehicle besides the Tacoma, right?
Right.
Which was the other vehicle you had at that time?
It was my wife's car.
What kind of car was it?
It's a sedan.
And I think you also testified the Tacoma was also registered to your wife, right?
Correct.
So she had a sedan. Was it an all-wheel drive sedan? Was the Tacoma all-wheel drive?
Yes.
So when you were taking the sedan, it was the police that said, well, why don't you take the Tacoma because of the terrain? Isn't that what they said?
I don't recall it.
Didn't you
I don't
say,
recall the terrain part.
well, didn't they say they'd rather you bring the all-wheel drive vehicle because of how difficult it would be to drive through there with a regular sedan?
I recall them to ask me if I could take my truck, but I don't recall the terrain.
You don't recall the reason why?
No.
When you got to the power line, as I understand it, this is Route 44 on Avon Mountain where you stopped, right?
Correct.
So let me just see if I set this up because, I'm from that area, but the people here are not. So Albany Avenue is Route 44, goes all the way up, climbs up Avon Mountain, right? From West Hartford, right?
I'm not sure. I rarely ever go that way.
Well, it's a steep road.
Avon
up
Mountain, yes.
Avon Mountain. And then down the other side, it's quite steep down to Avon, right?
Correct.
You come down to Avon as the other side of the mountain, correct?
Correct.
When you went from Simsbury to your office at Ford Group, did you usually take Deer Cliff Road?
Yes.
So you would have to come from Simsbury. Did you usually come on from like down on the Farmington Valley side of Avon Mountain?
Sometimes.
Well, again, I guess you could go through Bloomfield, but I'm just trying to figure out, did you go up to get to your office? You usually go up Route 44 and turn right on Deer Cliff Road?
Yes.
Or did you come from West Hartford and go up and turn left?
From Avon.
Okay, so you go up, that was a steep hill, right?
Yes.
There were always a lot of accidents, especially in the winter up there?
I heard of one or two, yes.
Okay, and then Deer Cliff was almost at the very top of Avon Mountain, right?
Yes.
And then you would drive down Deer Cliff Road, it would turn into Eli Road, right around where Jefferson Crossing is, correct?
Yes.
Now, the power line crossing that was where you stopped your vehicle was just about across from the entrance from the Reservoir 6 parking area, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Reservoir 6 is part of MDC, right?
I have no knowledge of that.
Have you ever been in there?
Yes, but I don't know
Well,
what's part of what.
You know that there's parking, people go hiking and walking around that area, right?
I've seen people parking there, yes.
And you parked, but if you go up a bit, there is a gravel entrance with a gate where the power line crosses Route 44, right? Am I right?
Possible.
Well, what I'm trying to do is figure out, you said you parked along on the other side from the Reservoir Road, along Route 44.
I parked to the right, yes.
Now, there's a turnout where there's a hiking trail. You know what I'm talking about, right? On the right?
Yes,
And then just before that, a little higher up, there's like the utility entrance for the power company with a metal bar across it, right?
I don't deny it, but I don't recall it.
Did you park up there where the gate was, or did you park in that turnout for people to park so they can go on the hiking trail?
And where people park, there was multiple parking spots.
Okay, and when you pulled in there, that's when the police handed you the search warrant that they were taking your truck?
Correct.
They didn't tell you before that, did they?
No.
Now, when the police interviewed you on June 6th, they asked you about what Fotis Dulos did on May 24th, didn't they?
Which interview were you talking about?
The same day that they took your truck on Albany Avenue.
I was going to object, Your Honor. I'm confused by the question myself. What interview were we referring to?
June 6th, when the same day that they took your truck. They interviewed you as well, didn't they?
I don't recall it. That was the same day? It was
Yeah, the same day.
I have many meetings with police. I just don't recall if that was the same day or not.
Okay, whether it's the same day or not, you do remember. Well, how many meetings did you have with them, do you recall?
I don't,
Was it more than 5?
yes.
And then you met with them like recently, last couple of days?
I didn't meet with them. I think I had a Zoom call.
Okay, and your lawyer was with you for that Zoom call, right?
No.
He was not?
No.
But how many times then, either on Zoom or in person, did you meet with law enforcement about your actions on those days in 2019?
I couldn't tell you.
But it was more than 5?
Yes.
Okay, so it's hard for you to remember when you had a conversation about anything in particular. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Okay, but at various times in 2019, they asked you about Fotis Dulos' whereabouts on May 24th, correct? The day of the disappearance. So I'm saying after that, they asked you about that day multiple times, right?
Correct.
And they asked you about your whereabouts on that day, correct?
Correct.
And you told the police back in early June of 2019 that you liked Fotis Dulos, right?
Yes.
That he was a good boss.
Yes.
You believed he was a successful builder.
I don't recall saying that, but
Is that a fair statement, though?
yeah.
You took pride in the work you did in managing his projects, right?
Yes.
You thought he did it. You thought these houses were fine homes. They were expensive, but they were fine, right?
Yeah, it's fair to say that.
And you told the police that you respected him, that is Dulos,
Yes.
and you told them that he was a, quote, very nice guy, unquote, right? That's how you thought of him.
Yeah.
And you weren't making that up, were you?
No.
You were telling them how you really felt about him, right? Then the police also in June of 2019 ask you questions about his ongoing divorce.
Can you specify which?
Well, in general, didn't they ask you about what you knew about what was going on in the divorce?
Yeah.
You knew that the divorce had been going on for a long time, correct?
Correct.
You, in fact, had at least helped Jennifer moving stuff out without telling Fotis, right?
Right.
So you knew she was planning it back then to move out, right?
I don't remember how that started.
At some point, you didn't tell Fotis what she was doing though, right?
I remember Jennifer told me if I could move some stuff for her and not to tell Fotis, but I don't recall if she told me what the reason was for moving it.
But you did what she asked, right?
Yes.
Even though Fotis was your boss, not Jennifer, right?
Right.
You told the police that the divorce had been going on for a long time while you were working there, right?
Possible.
And you told them that Fotis had complained about how long it was taking to you, didn't you?
I don't recall saying that.
You don't recall saying that?
No.
You recall the police asking you specifically that Fotis and Jennifer are going through a pretty rough divorce. Fair to say, based on what you know, just kind of being around, is that a pretty accurate statement? Do you remember saying, yeah, he was complaining about it a couple of times, but he wasn't trying to tell me that, like he was almost to the point that he was suspicious that I would tell something to Jennifer. Do you remember telling that to the police?
Yeah, that refreshes my memory.
Okay. So at least a couple of times, you remember him complaining to you about how long it was taking, right?
Possible, yes.
But you also knew that in the last couple of months before her disappearance, things seemed to be going pretty well for Fotis in the court. Isn't that true?
Yes,
He seemed to be very happy about the way things were coming out. And he was telling you that, right?
he mentioned something like that to me, yes.
And you told that to the police as well, didn't you?
Yes.
And he told you that there was a really good custody report that had just come out, right?
What do you mean by custody report?
A report about who would get custody of the children. He told you that, didn't he?
I believe he told me that there's a pretty good chance of him getting full custody of the kids.
Do you remember telling the police that about 2 months before, he was in a good mood, like he would only talk to me about the divorce? It was either very good or very bad. And then he said, didn't you say to the police, so he goes, that Jennifer hired some kind of psychologist, what's it called? The police say, yeah, psychiatrist, psychologist. And then you said to interview her and the kids to kind of find out what's best for the kids. And Fotis was telling me that he was very unhappy because obviously Jennifer hired him, so he's going to take her side. So him and his lawyer, they were fighting it. This is too long. I'm not gonna
Judge,
read
I'm
this.
just going to object to hearsay at this point. I mean, if Mr. Schoenhorn
Well,
is
you said hearsay, counsel.
yes, sir.
Well, first, this is impeachment by what counsel appears to be claiming is a prior inconsistent statement. If, according to the code, the statement should have been shown to the witness first. If the witness admits it, it couldn't come in as extrinsic evidence, but it was never shown to the witness. So first, if the claim is essentially improper impeachment, the court would sustain it.
So, Judge, if I may, the reason I objected to hearsay is because it is an improper impeachment. So I would add that, but that's the gravamen of my objection.
It's not that impeachment can't be accomplished, but it has to be done according to the code.
Gotta follow the rules.
According to the code, I either ask him if he said it, if he
Actually,
doesn't, if he
yes.
admits it, it doesn't need to come in. If he denies it, then it actually comes in. So this is the preliminary question to ask if that refreshes his
Well,
recollection.
counsel, the defense could have shown him the conversation with the police, determined that it may have refreshed his recollection, and then asked him the question.
So here we go. He's going to get impeached with his own prior statement.
We're reading a
Schoenhorn was getting ready to set the stage to impeach him with his own prior statement. Here we go.
transcript of your interview. Refresh your recollection as to what you told the police.
Yes.
I'll mark this for ID.
He did it in the wrong order. So you have to do it in the right order of things. So did you give a statement to the police? Yes. Do you think it was transcribed? Yes. Did you say X, Y, and Z? No. I want to show you what's known as Exhibit A. You know, does this refresh your recollection? And he'll read it and be like, okay, yeah, I guess I did say those things. Or if he says no, then you could publish that exhibit to the jury. So he hadn't done it in the right order. And that's all the judge was trying to say. You guys are doing it in the wrong order. You can almost always fix the order when it comes to foundation.
It's page
When foundation's involved, you can almost always fix it and go back.
135 to 136.
May I just see it? So, Judge, I must confess, I don't recall whether or not Mr. Gumini indicated he needed his memory refreshed at this point.
Well, the code indicates that before extrinsic evidence of a prior inconsistent statement can be offered, The contents of the prior inconsistent statement has to be shown to the witness. In so doing, the witness's recollection would either be refreshed or not.
Understood, Judge.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm just going to, it's a 2-page document. So I'm just going to have you read to yourself, starting from here where it's highlighted. And then if you'll just look at the back and see if this refreshes your recollection of what you told the police up to date. And then I'll ask you a question.
Holy shit, he really does look like Nick. You guys weren't joking. Damn.
You want me to keep going or just stop?
No, that's all I'm going to ask you about, so you can stop there. All right.
Now the question can be asked.
Do you recall now that Mr. Dulos told you that the report, even though he thought that the psychiatrist or psychologist had been hired by his wife's lawyer, that the report came out good and that he had a good chance of getting full custody?
Just going to object, Your Honor, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
I was going to now ask you a little bit about your Tacoma. Did you buy it new in 2001 or did you buy it used?
Body use.
So it already had sort of, I think you put it, the seats were all like filthy and grimy when you bought it.
Correct.
And that's why you put a pair of Ford motor seats in it, right?
Right.
And you were able to bolt them into the brackets where the bucket seats go in the front of the Tacoma?
I had to modify them and I was able to do that.
You were able to do that?
Yep.
And those were the seats that were in your vehicle from what year approximately? Soon after you bought it?
I think it's fair to say that, yes.
And you had it at least since 2010 or earlier?
I believe I bought the truck in 2012.
2012. Okay, so that was even before you went to work for the Ford Group, correct?
Correct.
It was, however, after you had met Mr. Dulos, right?
Correct.
And you were doing contract work through him, through the other company you worked for, right?
Correct.
When you had your own company for that period of time, that you were operating on your own, did you do any work for either Mr. Dulos or the Ford Group?
When I have, can you repeat the question?
Yes, before you went to work for Mr. Dulos, you had said you started your own LLC and had your own personal company for a little bit, right?
It was an LLC, but my personal company is.
You were working under what, doing business as under your real name, right?
Correct.
Did you do work for Mr. Dulos or the Ford Group when you had your own separate company under your own name?
Correct.
Did you come to their house for any of that work?
Can you specify the
To
year?
4 Jefferson
The
Crossing?
year,
Sorry?
the time period? the
Yeah,
year?
before 2016, did you come to 4 Jefferson Crossing to do any jobs there?
Yes.
And did you meet Mrs. Dulos then?
I think way earlier than that.
Oh, you met her even earlier when you were working for the framing company, you met her?
Yeah, I think so.
So you'd been there sometimes at 4 Jefferson Crossing even before you started your own business, right?
For Jefferson Crossing?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think Jefferson Crossing was built in 2012.
Was or was not?
I think it was.
Right. So my question is, did you meet Mrs. Dulos at 4 Jefferson Crossing even when you were working for the framing company?
I couldn't meet her at 4 Jefferson Crossing. The Jefferson Crossing wasn't built.
Oh, you said it was not built.
Yes,
Oh. Did you have anything to do with building 4 Jefferson Crossing?
yes,
You did some of the framing?
all of the framing.
So you would have met did Mrs. Dulos have input in the construction of that house at all?
Can you explain?
Yes. Did she have any input, any say in how the house was going to look or what was going to be in what rooms and whatnot?
I don't recall it, no.
But you did meet her even while you were building that house?
I believe I met her before that.
Even before that? Okay. Now, I know that Mr. McGinnis asked you about the leaking oil from the Tacoma. You could see that the garage of the house at 4 Jefferson was getting stained by dripping oil, couldn't you? From your truck.
I'm assuming yes, but I don't recall seeing it.
But you didn't dispute the fact when he said, listen, when you move your truck, it's, because you knew it was leaking oil, right?
He told me if we could move the truck, but he didn't mention the oil.
But you believed it was because of the oil staining
I
its
assume
garage
yes.
floor, right? Right.
I assume that, yes.
Okay. You also, wasn't it also true that the shock absorbers were gone in that truck?
Yes,
So it was not a very reliable vehicle, was it?
not at all.
You told, I think yesterday, you said it wouldn't even start sometimes, right?
Correct.
You had some kind of technique where you used your house key to run it against the ignition
Yes,
in order to make it start sometimes, right?
correct.
You didn't show anyone else how to do that, did you?
I don't recall it, no.
That was your own sort of home fix, right?
Yes,
For it, okay. In fact, you at one point told the police when they suggested that your truck was being driven down to New Canaan that it wasn't a reliable vehicle at all to go that far. Didn't you tell them that?
yes.
We just saw a video before I got up this morning of you driving on May 23rd with the Tacoma over to 80 Mountain Spring Road. You remember seeing those videos from across the street at 77?
I wasn't driving the Tacoma May 23rd, no.
Didn't we just see a picture of the Tacoma and the Raptor being driven down there?
That was Dulos driving the Tacoma.
Oh, and you were driving the Raptor?
Yes,
All right, and he pulled in with the Raptor, he pulled in with the Tacoma at 80 Mountain Spring, right?
yes,
You pulled in right behind him.
correct.
The driveway, by the way, wasn't asphalt at 80 Mountain Spring, was it?
No,
It was gravel, right?
it was peach stone, I believe.
What is it called?
Peach stone.
But that's not like paving blocks, right? It's some kind of rock, right?
Yes,
Okay, so it's absorbent, right?
yeah,
In other words, no pool of oil would form on that, whatever you just, I don't, peat stone, peak stone? I don't know what it
yeah, I
is.
don't remember the exact name, but
It's like a crushed stone maybe of some sort.
wash stone, more like wash stone than crushed stone.
I'm not understanding quartz.
More like a wash stone. than-
Wash stone, so it's
Yeah.
white rocks.
Round instead of sharp.
Got it, crushed up,
Crushed stone, it's
crushed
sharp.
stone, okay. And he turned the car, you said he turned the truck, backed it up, and so it was facing out?
Correct.
And I'm not going to put it back up again, but we saw the picture of part of the garage and the parking lot. The Tacoma was parked to the right of that photograph. It was sort of out of range of what the image showed us.
Correct.
The Raptor, where did he park that? Where did you park that?
I don't remember how I turned around there.
By the way, even though Fotis drove the Tacoma down that with you behind him in the Raptor, is there a reason why you didn't drive your own truck
And,
that day, May 23rd? Yeah.
no,
In fact, I wanted to clarify, you don't remember specifically with the jury that it was May 23rd, the day before, right? Is that a fair statement? You don't recall?
I don't recall, no.
Do you recall that Fotis Dulos had a visit with his children on the Wednesday, the 22nd? So he was down there in the afternoon. Does that ring a bell?
No.
You don't remember that?
What was 22nd?
That would be a Wednesday.
What was the event?
It must have been, what, Thursday? I'm just trying to focus on what day you were we just watched the video of the truck being driven down there from May 23rd. So is that the day, to clarify, that he asked you to move the truck down there?
Yes,
You also remember seeing Stefan Reich and his girlfriend arriving for a dinner at the house, correct?
Yes.
You said hello to them, right?
I did. I remember speaking with Stefan. I don't remember speaking with his girlfriend.
Do you remember his girlfriend, Beth?
Yes, I don't remember speaking with her on that day.
Okay, but you remember seeing her?
No, I don't.
I'm sorry?
I don't recall seeing her.
You remember seeing Stefan,
Yes,
and you had some friendly conversation with him?
yes,
He told you they were going to have dinner at the house that evening?
yes.
And the time that we see the Ford, the Raptor and the Tacoma pulling into 80 Mountain Spring was right, I'm sorry, let me withdraw that question. The time we see the two of you in the Raptor driving back up to Fort Jefferson Crossing that night, you went directly back to Fort Jefferson Crossing, right?
From 80 Mountain Spring Road?
From 80 Mountain Spring.
I don't remember. I don't deny it.
Did you drop off Mr. Dulos at the house and take the Raptor?
Yes,
Okay, so does that refresh your memory that you were driving
the Raptor?
the Raptor?
Yes.
Okay. I also want to ask you, you were asked some questions about the wanting to sell the Tacoma. Do you remember those questions by Mr. McGinnis yesterday?
Yes, I do.
You were wanting to sell that Tacoma for a while. Isn't that true?
Correct.
And you, in fact, had been researching on Craigslist for used Tacomas. Isn't that true?
It is.
And it had been going on for at least a month that you've been looking, right?
More than that.
More than that. You also know that when the police took your phone, they downloaded all your searches, correct?
Possible, yes.
All right. So I'm going to, let me speak with counsel for a second.
This is what you need?
Yeah.
Okay. Judge, I have no objection. There was the one photograph which was displayed, which I objected to, but the court received it into evidence. The balance of that disc, I don't have an objection to.
So as for exhibit Y.
Good night, Ashley.
Defense Y admitted as full.
Right, I'm going to show you a group of images one at a time and just, I'll ask you something about it at the end, but I'm going to show you a bunch of images from the search. So if you would, if I could just have the first one, please. You can turn around. It's easier maybe if you want to look behind you, if you want. You can see it there. So you see that you were searching for a used Tacoma on May 1st, 2019.
That's a history from my phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one. You see the date? May 5th?
Yes, I do.
That was a used silver Tacoma that you were looking at?
Yes.
All right, next one, please. So this is, what's that say, May 14th? It's a little blurrier than the other one. Yeah, May 14th?
Correct.
Okay, and this looks like, what, an older model?
Yes.
All right, you were looking at that one?
Don't recall it.
All right,
I don't deny it. It's on my phone.
sure, next one, please. Could you zoom in, please, right here? May 18th, you were looking at one?
Possible.
Okay, next, please.
Guys, this is all being done to challenge his credibility. All of this is being done to challenge his credibility. Not necessarily that he
Zoom in,
killed
please.
Michelle, but he's
May
just not
10th, out of
credible.
order, but you were looking at black one on May 10th?
Yes.
Okay, next one, please. May 21, you were looking at one?
Yes.
2019, right? And that one's kind of a decked out one a little bit, right? A little fancier?
Yeah.
Okay, next one, please. May 26th, you were looking at one. Isn't that true? 2
Possible.
days
Yep.
after the disappearance, you're looking at a white Tacoma, right?
Yep.
Next one, please. Also on May 26th, another, this one a gold or tan colored one, right?
Correct.
Don't know if we have, oh. And then you looked at one that was at a dealership, right? On May 31st. You see that down at the bottom there?
Yes.
So even the day that the police were questioning you, you were still looking to replace your Tacoma. Isn't that right?
Possible. I mean, if it's on my phone, I don't deny it.
Well, that whole month you were searching to replace your Tacoma, right?
Yes.
And you had told Mr. Dulos that you were seeking to replace your Tacoma, weren't you? Didn't you? I mean,
I did.
generally, except for holidays, you did work Monday through Friday. Is that right?
Correct.
And your routine was, if you were going to a job site, you would not take your own vehicle because of that it wasn't reliable, correct?
If it was not in Farmington area.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it was a local job, you might go right from home to the job site, right?
Correct.
And there were a lot of actually, right on Mountain Spring Road, there have been mention of other addresses. There were a lot of lots that Ford Group owned that they were marketing and planning on building houses on, right?
Correct.
In fact, you still live in that area, right?
Correct.
A lot of those houses have since been built, even after the death of Fotis Dulos, correct?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, even after a lot of those houses that were for sale back then, or lots rather, houses have been built on them. So now it's all built up when it wasn't back then, right? 2019.
I don't disagree. I just don't have a recollection of seeing a lot prior and after being built a house.
I take it since all of this, certainly after you left Ford Group, you don't travel a lot on Eli Road or Deer Cliff Road?
I do.
You do, and you haven't noticed a lot of houses being built on the Eli Road side of that mountain?
Which side of the road are you talking
Coming
Side
towards
of the
Farmington.
mountain.
I'm just going to object on relevance grounds, additional counsel's
I love how
testifying.
they call it a mountain. It's a hill.
I'll withdraw the question. Let me just go back for a minute. You know, we talked about the power line trail, and I forgot to ask you this question. The power lines stay on the West Hartford side of that mountain, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah.
And there are also regular hiking trails in the water company MDC property, aren't there?
No, not aware of this. I never go hiking there.
You've never noticed if there are, right?
Don't recall it, no.
You ever notice any blue squares on trees for people to hike through that area? So there's ways to cut across and whatnot?
If I was there on the dirt bike, I wouldn't pay attention to that.
Because you wouldn't go on those trails, right?
And also go fast.
A lot of trees down, logs, rocks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you would often take a Ford Group vehicle home on the weekend rather than take your Tacoma, right?
Often
Yeah, often, like many times.
on the weekend.
Yeah,
Very rare.
rarely. But it wasn't unusual for you to do that, was it?
Very rare. I think it's what to say.
By the way, when you had mentioned the lawyer for Mr. Dulos calling you at one point, remember that testimony yesterday?
Which
Or
one?
no?
Which one?
Yesterday. Well, you couldn't remember his name. One of Mr. Dulos' lawyers called you back in May of 2019 or early June, didn't he?
Fun fact, one of Fotis Dulos' lawyers was Norm Pattis, Alex Jones' attorney up in Connecticut.
I don't remember, no.
You don't remember? You didn't say this yesterday?
Well, counsel, you can use leading questions. It's cross.
All right. Didn't you testify yesterday that one of Mr. Dulos' called you and suggested that you might need your own lawyer because of your immigration status? Remember saying that yesterday?
I believe I said Dulos told me that.
not one of his lawyers?
I don't recall it.
In any event, the police did say things to you about, made you concerned about your immigration status, didn't they?
I don't recall it, no.
You don't recall that? Don't you remember the police saying to you words to the effect of that if they wanted to really mess with your green card, they could just make a phone call?
Yes.
But they said, but that's not what they were looking to have happen,
I'm just
right?
going to object, Your Honor. Calls for speculation as to what other people were looking to have happen.
This is what was said to the witness.
Well, if the representation is that the police later said after that, they are not looking for that to happen, then the court will allow it.
Yes.
They did say that to you. Right. So were you nervous about them bringing up your green card status?
Yes.
You weren't a U.S. citizen, were you?
No.
Are you now?
Yes.
That's happened since 2019, correct?
Correct.
If you had been arrested for anything, you knew you could have been deported, right?
Correct.
And you lived here for what, 20 years at that point? 19 years?
19 years.
And you were concerned, right?
Correct.
So, guys, this is all meant to just.
I'm going to ask you
question
now
his-
about a trip that you took up to the.
This is all attacking his credibility and bias at this point. He's got the incentives to tell them the truth. I mean, he's got the incentive to lie, say what they want. Even though he's naturalized, they can revoke it. It's a lot harder now, but it could happen still. This attorney is just going through all the reasons he has to lie and be dishonest. He's just trying to save his own ass. Because it also sounds like he had his green card at the time, and since then, he has been naturalized. And I think he's trying to argue the government had a hand in getting him naturalized and fast-tracked.
Litchfield State Police Barracks on June 12, 2019. Do you recall going there?
Yes.
You thought you were going to pick up your truck then, didn't you?
Yes.
In fact, when did you pick up your truck ever?
Didn't.
You never got it back, right? Were you ever compensated for it? They just kept it, right?
Correct.
So you went up there on around June 12th to get it, thinking they were going to give it back to you, right?
That was my understanding, yes.
But in fact, you went up there with an oil can, didn't you?
Correct.
I'm going to show the witness. Oh, is it not up? Got it. Exhibit Y. Yeah, you just put that. It's called oil can 2. Just look at the image that.
J-Rock, you're right. There is a more efficient way to do this. I'm not going to question him. He knows the case better than I do. But yes, I think there are better ways this could be done, a little more efficiency involved. So we'll see. We'll see on that. Also, Gina says, I'm here watching Sean instead of Nick. Nick is too unreliable anymore. Well, I appreciate that compliment. I hope it's also the quality of the content is another good point. But thanks for being here.
Hello,
Hi, Hella. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing okay. See, you caught us right at the end of this.
Oh, really? What
Yeah.
are we at the end of day what?
Well,
Day
this is
19?
this is part 1 of day 19. So
Okay.
this guy owned the truck that was had blood all over the interior panels,
Mm-hmm.
but it got wiped down, so there was no way to identify what the blood marks are. Really, it's just the luminol hit it, and the guy who killed his wife was driving this truck that same day, and they're kind of putting 2 and 2 together here. And
This is the truck.
Yeah, the red truck. And this is the
Yeah.
guy who owned it, and he got charged with tampering with evidence, and he got full immunity, so he's being forced to sit through everything up there.
Okay, because he's been there for quite a while, hasn't he?
He's been there a whole day already.
Right, and isn't he an employee of Fotis?
He was his right-hand man kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't even just employee, it was his dude.
Okay, because we're kind of excited to see somebody up there that was like not a Fed or someone like that, weren't we? Like actually a real person involved. But now are we a little bit bored of him?
Well, a little bit, but J-Rock, you're right. This guy at the time had a green card, so he was a resident alien, which means that had he been charged with a felony and convicted of a felony, he's gone. He since then got citizenship, which it takes a while anyway, but I would try to thread that in there a little bit or imply it. And then yeah, he would be in jail absent the deal because everybody else got jailed. Fotis and Michelle got jailed initially on the tampering charges, and they bonded out. I doubt this guy had the money to bond out. So yes, I agree, J-Rock. You'd focus on the big stuff and go from there. But I don't know. I'm not going to give him too much crap. He knows more than we do, so there might be some other big points out there.
Okay. Before you go back to it, has anything really been tied back to Michelle properly yet?
Other than Michelle being around when all this is going down. And then later in the afternoon, there's this convoy of 3 vehicles leaving the property. And she's obviously driving one of the cars. But she also says, like, you know what you should do is like when their dog died, he's like, you should bury that bitch, Jennifer, along with the other bitch under the tree. Like she's made the comments, apparently he says. Who knows if they're true.
Yeah.
But really the biggest thing is she got out of the truck, and where she got out of the truck, the license plates were thrown down the drain. So that's kind of her tough spot there.
Yeah, the license plate, and that comment's not great. But I mean, who's to know if she knew what was in that the license plate was in there and what was going on? Like he could have just said, throw this down there.
Yeah, well, but at that point they're going to argue she should have known there was like blood everywhere. Likely these cars were absolute messes, just full of bloody piles of clothes, and Fotis was probably covered in blood. Who knows? Well, yes, I have a question for you. Are you prego?
No. Why would I be? What?
I don't know, but they wanted to ask.
Okay, no.
They've got a thing for it.
Do they? Oh, is this because of the Shannon Smith thing?
Well, I think it brought out their latent fetishes.
Fine. Okay. Look, I am so thin.
Hey, that doesn't mean anything. They had that show about I didn't know I was pregnant, so.
Right. It's the Shannon Smith thing. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Done. End of rumor.
Right. Yes. All right, guys. So here we go. Let's finish this out.
Oh, okay.
That's up on the screen.
Yes.
All right. Now, you recall being in the state police in an interrogation room on June 12, 2019.
Yes.
And that's you sitting there with, I guess those are sunglasses on your forehead?
Yes.
And the person in the foreground there with the large arms and the, I don't know if that's a hood or whatever it is behind his head there, that's one of the state police officers, right?
I believe so, yes.
And could you tell the jury, you see the date and the time, right? Was that the time you were there, 11:15 in the morning?
If the camera time is correct, yes.
Okay. And what is that in your left hand on the table that we see in this image?
It's oil can.
That was the oil can you brought, because if you were going to take your vehicle, it would have probably drained out unless you put in oil, right?
I was planning on being very safe and sorry, so I took some oil with me, yes.
You had to put in a lot of oil because you knew it had been dripping, right?
Yep.
And they started questioning you, right? That day.
Yes.
And they told you you weren't getting your truck back, correct?
Right.
And that's when you told them you wanted to have your attorney present for any further question, right?
Yeah.
And
Smartest thing he did. I want my attorney. Once he realized he wasn't getting his truck back. Although he should have had his attorney there to start with, but you know, he still gets points.
so they stopped the interview at that time, right? They stopped it.
Yes.
At your request.
I was trying to call my attorney and I couldn't get hold of him, so.
Well, he didn't answer, or was it that this particular location in Litchfield had lousy cell service?
I don't remember. I remember I couldn't get hold of him.
Okay. And if you couldn't reach him, then you weren't going to talk to him, right?
Yes.
Okay. You'd already met with Attorney Urzo before that, right?
I don't remember when I met with him first time.
Your Honor, I'm gonna, well, if this could be a place to stop, Your Honor.
Thank you.
for
Ladies
different
and gentlemen, we'll stand in our lunch and recess until 2 o'clock. Please do not discuss the case.
That's the end of day 19, or that's the end of the morning of day 19. So this morning, and they finished. They have still tomorrow. They're tomorrow the afternoon. We'll work on that tomorrow and try to get caught up. We'll probably have to get caught up on Friday or Saturday. So, yeah, that is. It's getting interesting. We're getting there. We're getting there. I know it, guys. It takes a while, but that's how this goes. Where are you? Just trying to see some chats here, super chats here. Fernando, who freely walks around with an attorney on retainer. He wasn't already walking around with an attorney on retainer. His car had already been seized by the government, and the police had already questioned him once. So he already had a lawyer. So that's why this is all around that time. So he already knew to have an attorney. So, but yes, there are people who can afford to have just an attorney on call. But that guy, Pavel's not one of them. He doesn't have that kind of money. His car had already been seized by the police in connection with a murder. So he knew to get a lawyer. So. Old Line Red saying, "Oh, Fotis did copy a shaved head." Yeah, I think there was a little bit of that trying to look like Pavel, at least trying to hide who it was driving the vehicle, but also it minimizes the amount of hair you leave behind. So it's a way to sanitize a crime scene without shaving your head. So. You guys are ridiculous here. Alyssa, clip that and send it to the boys on Discord. Jeez. Kimbo's saying, "Did I do something wrong? I tried to be PC and use the Australian name for Burger King."
Australian name for Burger King is Hungry Jack's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't see the first one.
I remember that as a kid.
Hungry Jack's.
Somebody we knew. Well, I grew up in the middle of nowhere. It's just like somebody went to Australia. This would have been like 1992 or 3. I was like 7 or 8 years old. And somebody at the school had gone to Australia. So it was like, ooh, look at she went to the other side of the world. And yeah, it was like, look what they call their places. It's so funny. And then there was the doorknob was in the middle of the door. I still don't understand that thing. Is that like they don't do that anymore. Do you guys down there?
Do we what? Sorry?
Doorknob in the middle of the door.
No.
Oh, because this lady was showing us pictures and there are a couple places where the doorknob was like in the middle of the door. It's like fucking weirdest thing ever.
It's not a regular thing.
Yeah.
We have doorknobs where you put it on the side like normal people. So we do lots of things differently, but not that.
Oh. And then yes, J-Rock, you're right. This would be a great thing. You'd be like, listen, Pavel, you'd be fighting the Russians right now if it wasn't for the throne of lies you sit on, sir. You lying Slav.
The throne of lies.
If we were Britain, you'd be a plumber. You'd be plunging out Charles's turds.
Oh, dear. Dear me. You guys are so funny. I love your chat. Your chat is so good.
Okay, so I was just Googling this thing about the doorknob and the center thing. Apparently, it's like there were some places in England that had it that way, and it just kind of followed you guys over, so...
Oh, okay, that makes more sense because, like, the castles have that, don't they?
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
That makes more sense.
This is who we are. It says attorneys on retainer has become popular since the Alan Coley incident regarding USCCA. Yeah, well, here's the deal. I mean, yeah, you can have an attorney on retainer, or you just like a gangster, like the rappers do, or like in casino, you have stacks on deck ready to go. You have that money ready, sitting off to the side. You have it in an account ready to roll.
Hmm.
Argue that's going to be far easier because if you got the money with an attorney, you have to, that attorney's got to stay, it's easier to have an attorney develop that relationship and have the money ready to go.
Hmm.
So, Alan Cully was the guy. He shot the YouTube prankster guy. I don't. Did you see that, Hella?
Nope.
Where? Oh,
No,
so
please tell me about that.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We're gonna. Well, fuck it. We'll get demonetized real quick.
Not as quick as me when YouTube or Google didn't believe I was real.
Okay, so here is Tanner Cook is a YouTuber, and he was doing some like asshole prank shit.
Okay.
And he starts fucking with a guy at a mall in Virginia. Well,
yeah.
We'll go from there, and you'll be able to figure it out from there. You ready?
Sweet. Yeah, let's go.
Here we go.
What?
Hey, Dip, quit thinking about my twinkle.
What's that mean?
Hey, Dip, quit thinking about my twinkle.
No.
Hey, Dip, quit thinking about my
Get
twinkle.
on my face and block cops on. Stop.
Hey, Dip, quit thinking about my twinkle.
Stop.
Yeah. So this guy, that phone was saying, "Hey, Dinkle, quit thinking about my twinkle," or something like that.
Yeah.
And this
And he
guy
gets to
keeps
do that.
following him. And the thing is, it's not just the two people, the cameraman. So now he's got three people around him, and he just goes, boop. So he shot the guy and didn't kill him. He got charged with felony assault and also discharging a firearm in a building. He got the jury gave him self-defense, but they convicted him of shooting a gun in a building. And I don't.
Self-defense?
Yeah.
For what?
Well, he thought he was in serious harm at that point.
How?
Well, at that point, because this guy here, Copernicus here, took the stand, and he's like, yeah, I wanted to make, like, I picked out somebody and I screwed with him. I wanted a reaction out of him. I was trying to make him feel like anxious, and I was trying to be foreboding, because he's like, it's a big guy. So there's a disparity of force. He's confronting you, won't talk to you, and keeps following you as you try to get away from him, along with his buddies who aren't talking to you. Like, at some point, you have the reasonable fear you're about to get hurt.
Oh, for your
It also
life?
didn't help this guy's a fucking douchebag, so he got what was coming to him.
Clearly he's a douchebag, but I mean, but fear for his life?
Fear for his safety,
Really?
well, his life, or serious bodily harm. Like, are these guys going to jump me? Because that's the other, it's not just death, it's serious bodily injury. And three guys who aren't talking to you and are surrounding you. Yeah, I think you got some reason to believe that you're injured, and a jury believed it. It also doesn't help that Tanner Cook's an asshole. And, certainly a jury can hate somebody else instead. So, yeah.
J-Bet
Yep.
says, have you seen what's been going on in the US? I mean,
Well, yeah, there's that whole thing, too, that, like, people are getting attacked on YouTube and TikToks and things like that. So I could easily see, he could easily. But yes, Tanner Cook took the stand, and he basically admitted it was his fault for causing this. But yeah, here we go. Here's in slow motion.
Stop.
Watch it. He just goes.
that just... What?
Rule number one,
And-
don't fuck with people. Don't fuck with
Yeah.
people.
Okay. Well, I get it that he should not have done that. Like, that is,
Mm-hmm.
like, he's being a complete tosspot.
Yeah.
And yeah, J-Bet, I know about the BLM riots, and from over here, it was like, what are you people doing?
Yeah. So,
Like,
do you understand though, from this end of it, you have to be able to show, an immediacy that these guys are all around you. They're within distance. They can grab you. There's some sort of force. Now, remember, none of these guys look like they're armed, but there's 3 of them, one of him, and one of the guys is a, really big guy. So it's 3 on 1. They're surrounding him. They're all following him. He's asked them to stop. They aren't stopping. They aren't responding to comments. And they're acting really, really weird. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Does he not have to like show that he's got a gun and go, look, I'm going
Nope, I don't have to be like, step back, I got heat. Because the other thing is, too, you never threaten, because a lot of times, and most criminals operate on this premise, people lie all the time. So if you say I got a gun, they generally don't think you do. I do know somebody who they were in a situation like that. He didn't have a gun, but he started acting like he's reaching for it. The guy's like, oh, you got a gun? He's like, I don't have a gun. I don't have a gun. And the bad guy was like, oh, he does have a gun because we all lie, and he's speaking my language. And the guy backed off. But yeah, no, this is you don't, he accosted a man. This guy felt he was stuck in a situation where he felt he was in fear of his safety, a serious, legitimate fear for his safety. And it's there was a massive immediacy here. And the idea, don't show us brandishing. Well, that's not true. Like if there's a whole group of people getting around you, you could pull a gun out and say, the first person that comes at me, I'm fucking killing. Brandishing sometimes is an effective use of the weapon, but generally speaking, if you're bringing it out, you better be going to work. Because if you're waiting, that's more time you're losing in the battle. So
crazy.
Yeah. A Wonderful Galaxy says, who are you? Well, I'll let you take that away for a second. This is Hella from Excited Utterance. She is, she's got a good channel out here. She has her own channel, Excited Utterance, and she covers a bunch of different things on Sundays. One of the bigger things she was doing was the Becky Hill emails from Miss Becky down in South Carolina for the Alex Murdaugh case.
Yeah. I'm giving Becky Hill a little bit of a rest for now.
Worn her out.
I'm actually thinking about changing my Saturday stream to be all about Eric Bland, because he's actually providing me a fair bit more material.
Yes.
Seriously, I can do whole streams just on what an idiot Eric Bland is. In fact, I noticed that someone just liked my use of the term tosspot. He's a tosspot, if there ever was one. He's a bit of a stain. But on Sundays, I do Hearsay for Days at 3 p.m. And that one is...
but it's only for one... You only do it one day, though. So it's not for days, though, really, is it?
No. Well...
That's kind of false advertising.
It's a term. Don't you guys use... Don't you say...
I know. I'm just saying. Well, actually...
Yes. Actually...
Yeah.
We do all sorts of fun things on my channel. But I don't tend to stream just trials. I don't tend to do all-day trials.
Yes.
It's more commentary on fun things.
But yeah,
I mean, asking.
Yeah, and just going back to this, I mean, people are talking about the brandishing. There are times where the display of a firearm is just as effective as other things, and that's actually in the majority of uses of a firearm is merely displaying it. But in this situation here, where these guys are that close, it's a little too late for that. So, he pulled it out and shot him right in the gut.
I hope you guys all you probably are like, why is she so shocked? But for me, this is like completely foreign.
Well, I understand, but this is this is how we say hello in America.
And I find it fascinating though, and I'm really appreciating that you're taking the time out to explain. And I'm very open to learning about the culture and why this is it's not just legal, but it's necessary with the way your laws work.
Yeah, but the thing is here, this guy spent months in jail. He got arrested and wasn't let out till he won. So that's kind of that's the trade-off, and that's one of the issues. And I say this every time People use deadly force. If you're gonna bust this out, you better be willing to go to prison for your. You better be willing to go to prison.
Mm.
If you're not willing to go to prison, don't bust it out. And you know, hopefully, this guy was prepared to make that choice because he spent months in jail as a part of this. So, and then he got released.
He could have used Mr. Bronco. That would have been helpful.
Well, the thing was, he used a group called United States Concealed Carry Association, and they claimed that like they have attorneys that you pay and they provide you with attorneys. The thing is, they evaluate your case beforehand, and if they think it's a stinker, they don't pay out. So it's like very arbitrary insurance, and this hurt the company really bad because people saw it was really, really shit what like happened here.
Yes.
I'll play the Boogie Frank Castle video to show Hella how not to brandish. Okay, well, do you know what that is?
No, of course I don't. Go for your life.
Okay, so there's a YouTuber named Boogie2988.
I've heard of this actually. Meme was playing this for a bit, I think.
Yeah, so here we go. So a guy named Frank Castle, okay, and that's actually his real name, Frank Castle. He came up to Boogie's house out in Arkansas and started fucking with them. So here we go.
Come on, you fucking pussy. What's the
That's Frank. He's got his fucking GoPro on and shit. So here we go.
deal?
Damn, that's loud.
Where's the gun at, you fat faggot? Open fire!
Serious internet business is going on.
Open fire! You're a fat pussy. You won't even open the door? I will. And then what? You're gonna shoot me? You're gonna kill me?
That would have been some Kino content if he fucking plugged that guy.
You're a fucking pussy, dude.
There's more footage than that. I can't show it to you because of YouTube's.
Oh, damn it, Boogie. That's because you're a pussy.
Damn. Oh,
Yeah, on three, pull the trigger. Okay. Is this what I have to do? You fat fucking fag. Oh my god. Is this real? Is this guy gonna kill me?
Yes. He's here to look at the air conditioner, Sam. Is this what I have to do?
You're a fucking fag.
Is this what I have
Are you
to
gonna
do?
shoot me in your doorway?
Yes.
You're fucking deranged.
I'm asking you to leave. This is my home. You are not welcome here. You have threatened my life. I'm asking you to leave. In about 30 seconds, I'm going to fire a warning shot.
Fire it now. Fire the warning shot now.
Is this what we have to do? I'm asking you to leave, Sam.
Sam?
Cameron, I don't know your fucking name. I'm asking you to leave. I'm asking you to leave, man. Please don't make me do this. Please don't make me do this.
Can you just leave this property so I can leave?
Why's this guy got a gun?
I'm just here looking at
Because I feel threatened.
This guy's about to kill somebody right in front of you.
Why are you on his property?
I'll shoot to wound.
Well, that's already a problem. You can't do that. The shot's a problem too. We'll get to that in a second.
okay.
If you're gonna shoot the wound, you should shoot yourself.
No, I plan to shoot you, bud. I'm asking
Right
you
here.
to leave.
Right here.
Okay?
Right here.
Okay. I'm asking you to
You
leave.
pointing your gun at me?
Yes. You're on my property. You've threatened my life.
You are a fat fag.
Castle Doctrine.
You're a fat fag. Castle Doctrine means I get to take you inside and fuck you.
Okay. Sam, please don't.
Who's Sam?
I don't know. I don't know. Regardless.
Okay. So what he did there is not allowed. Notice he went and shot like that up in the air.
Yeah.
He shot up in the air in a crowded neighborhood. He also shot across a road, which if that was in Ohio, that's a felony in and of itself. You're not allowed to shot. In a lot of states, you're not allowed to shoot across a roadway because obviously people go across like traffic up and down roads all the time.
I would hope so.
Yeah, well, he shot into a neighborhood. There's a school within 1,000 feet of his house. and he got charged with felony discharging of a firearm and reckless endangerment.
Good.
He ended up getting basically diversion. So he did all the court's crap, and he has no other record. So that's why. And they cut him a deal, and he's I think by now it's almost done, his probation. So it will get dismissed, and it won't ever be there again.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but don't do it the way he did it. So
the guy approaching his house was trying to get him to.
It was another internet personality trolling him.
Right.
So
okay.
it was tard jousting. You know, the internet got retarded and had spilled over into real life. Oh, his probation's over? Okay. So.
What a bunch of twats.
Yeah. So. Yeah. But he said he was going to shoot the wound. That would have gotten him even more trouble. Because you're not allowed to shoot the wound. A gun is deadly force. So if I try to wound you, that means I wasn't... Like, if I try to wound you, I intentionally try to hurt you and injure you. Instead of just shooting at you to, like, stop you. And ideally what that means is trying to kill you. If I'm trying to wound you with a deadly weapon, I wasn't in fear of my life to use a deadly weapon. So that's why you can't shoot to wound or fire warning shots. If you're pulling the trigger, you'd better be trying. Now, if you shoot the person and miss, that's one thing. But going like this, bang, I mean, it's clear it's a warning shot. Whereas, let's say you happen to aim at a person and you miss. Well, now it's not clear. I'm just a bad shot. Maybe they interpret that as a warning shot and say, "Oh my God, he's not joking." So, yeah. Well, you've seen Gran Torino, right? With Clint Eastwood in it.
I'm not much of a movie person.
Oh,
so
you haven't seen Get Off My Lawn. That's what you get off a man's lawn. Oh, hella. This is
Are you able to show it to me, or you get struck?
I don't know. I mean, we're gonna show just a second of it. I mean, I'm
Okay.
gonna show 30 seconds of it. We're breaking it down
You're
anyway.
probably right.
So
30 seconds will be okay.
I mean, heck, I got away with showing. I make good takedown arguments, and they agree with me. So,
Cool. You have to show me how to do that.
Sure. So this is Gran Torino, okay, and it's about Clint Eastwood. He lives in Detroit. Anyway, here we go. So these guys are gangsters, and they're beating up on a kid, and you'll see what happens.
No. What are you guys doing here? I told you guys already. Can't I just come hang out with my little cousin?
So they're about to fuck this kid up because he didn't do what they wanted, and they're gangsters.
Yeah.
Huh? I have good news for you, man.
Oh, really? And what's that?
Only for guy talk. I don't think so. Why not? Come on, man. We're gonna give you another shot, man. Come on.
Don't go, Tal.
Mind your own business, girl. Come on, let's go. Come.
And he doesn't want to join the gang, so he's not doing what they want. But they want him. They're like, "Oh no, we give you many blessings. Join gang with us." and this is in Detroit, Michigan. So it's down the road from Jennifer Crumbly's cases.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Also, I'm hoping this guy that clips it tries to fucking copy strike me, but it's like it's not even your fucking movie. So. And if you didn't realize the language, these are the Hmong. These are Chinese Chinese-speaking Vietnamese refugees who lived in the mountains of Vietnam. They fled after the Vietnam War. They were actually very critical to the special warfare and special forces efforts because they were some of the more elite groups that fought with the U.S. special operations groups and during the war. So a lot of them got free passage over to America.
Okay.
What the hell is this? Get up. Get off my lawn. Listen, old man, you don't want to fuck with me. Did you hear me? I said get off my lawn now. You fucking crazy? Go back in the house. Yeah, I blow a hole in your face and then I go in the house and I sleep like a baby.
You understand who that is, right?
I
Who this
do
is?
know who that is,
Okay.
absolutely. I have seen that little bit.
So this part here is actually kind of so he's a Korean War veteran, but listen to him
Yeah.
talk.
And I sleep like a baby. You can count on that. We used to stack fucks like you 5 feet high in Korea. Use you for sandbags.
So and
That's pretty
that's true.
classic.
Well, that's true though, because the Chinese fought the Americans in Vietnam,
Yes.
and I'm sorry, Korea, and the Chinese would wave attack, and they would use the bodies to reinforce positions because there are so many of them.
Yeah.
So that's
I
also
have
how
seen
you,
that little clip. Now
So
that
you have
now
seen
that you
it?
show
Okay,
to me,
that's how you see
I'm- just that little bit. They get
So,
off my
yes.
lawn bit.
Yes.
Yeah, not the whole.
So
30
so
seconds.
like if I became the head of the Department of Homeland Security, like you get off the plane at like LAX,
Mm.
like if you hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream and a cardigan, the sign would say, "Welcome to America. Get the fuck off our lawn." So
Yeah, and there's gifs and everything of that. Like
yes,
yes, that's a classic
Yes.
moment.
yeah.
Thank
So
you,
just
because I could not put that in context when you first said it.
okay. Sorry. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
No,
So
thank you. That was
he's racist
great.
as fuck in this movie. Yeah, but it's good racism.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now
appreciate
you
it.
understand. Yes. Don't
I do. Someone wanted you to show me something else.
Oh, what
Was there a
else are we
super chat?
seeing?
Was there a super chat?
Oh, hold on here. Let me see. Oh, introduce Helen to Gary Plauché. She will love the video. Thank you, J Rock. You don't know who Gary Plauché is?
No, how would I know?
Okay. Our boy Gary. Oh. Okay. Gary has since left this world. He died a little while ago. But he was a good man. He was a good man taking care of problems. Okay. No, we don't
American
need
hero.
well. Oh, he is an American hero.
Okay.
Yes, he is the hold on here. Let me see if I can find a good copy of it.
No, I'm not from a gun culture. I'm from Australia, guys. So it is well into tomorrow here.
Hold on here. Okay. Here we go. All right. So you're gonna hear somebody narrating. This is Geraldo Rivera. Nothing I can do. This is the best one I could find.
I do know who Geraldo is.
Gary Plauché, be like him. This happened down in Louisiana. Oh, wrong one. Damn it. That didn't go to the right one. Here we go. We'll go to that one in a second.
Louisiana. By all accounts, a devoted father. He was emotionally devastated when his young son was kidnapped and molested by this man. The boy's karate.
His son is on Twitter to this day. And it's hilarious. It's a very base Twitter account. But here we go. This is the bad guy.
Instructor. What happened next was either justifiable or just revenge.
Gary! Why, Gary?
Justifiable or just.
I didn't get to see your reaction.
I jumped.
I didn't get to see your reaction. I'm so sad. It was going too fast.
Play it again. I'm pretty sure it'll be the same.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Was kidnapped and molested by this man, the boy's karate instructor. What happened next was either justifiable or just revenge.
Gary! Why, Gary?
What was that?
So, that's you never seen that meme where it's like the Brazilian guy? Because it's so funny.
Oh.
So
he's laughing.
this guy is what you guys would. Well, do you guys use the word nonce down there?
Yeah, we know what a nonce is. Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't know if you guys called it something else, but yes, he was a
We don't
nonce.
really
and,
use it that much, but we know what it is.
well, you know, and you get you get what's coming to you, I guess, and we'll
What happened next was he
we'll slow it down for you because we get boop 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 boop. Give him a good old hair tussling without even touching him. That's how it was. Look, he was just like, he's like, "Hey there, friend," and he goes, he just blew a whisper into his ear, tussled his hair up. Yeah, and this is back in the 80s. He got indicted for manslaughter. Or he got indicted, and the jury told the judge, don't want like, because they didn't realize they could nullify the verdict and just send him home and declare him not guilty. They found him guilty, but they told the judge no punishment, and the judge gave him probation.
Hang on, but he was a thing.
He killed the guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he killed a child molester. So the jury's like, we don't want any punishment. And the judge is like, yeah, I agree.
What?
Yeah, he got no time.
Really?
Yeah, Gary got no time for that.
Hang on. So you can do that?
No, well, I mean, here's the deal. Like, if you were to walk in on your kid getting assaulted,
Yeah.
you can fucking that sexual assault and rape are violent felonies anyway. So, if I walked out my front, what?
That's defending, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Isn't that
but
the
in this
same as something that's
situation,
like-
this situation, nobody cared. Like, this guy, this is the point of what a jury nullification is. They could say, look, yes, Gary unlawfully murdered this man, but this man's a piece of shit, so therefore we don't care. Not guilty is what they should have been able to do. Instead, they had to convict him. Well, tell that to Cain Velasquez. Well, Cain Velasquez shot the wrong fucking guy. That's Cain Velasquez's problem. And he also, the other guy has not pled out yet, so that's an issue. That's a UFC fighter who, a couple of years, like 2-3 years ago, his daughter got assaulted allegedly, and when the guy was on his way to court, he ambushed the car and shot the wrong guy. So his case has not happened yet. I think it's still waiting to go, because I wanted to cover that one.
Wow.
Yeah, Cain's out on bail, but Cain's also got millions of dollars. But yeah, this guy, so the jury, this is down in Louisiana, and they said no. And the judge said, I agree, this guy should not have been convicted, or this guy should not go to prison for it, so put you on probation. And Gary went back to work and went on probation and finished it out, and he got cancer later in life.
Wow.
Yeah. Then there's this one here. This one's pretty good, although this gets loud, so we're going to have to turn it down just a hair. This has got the Doom music in
a
it.
different angle.
Well, it's got the Doom music.
Okay.
And this is the this is the angle here, and that's Gary. Good old Gare Bear. Oh.
Someone said killdozer, whatever that is.
Oh, Killdozer? Oh. All right. You never seen? So Killdozer. It's this guy named Marvin Heemeyer, and basically he got jerked around by his town. They destroyed his business and his livelihood. So he took a bulldozer and turned it into a tank, and he went on a rampage through his town. Let's see if I can find a clip of it. Let me see if there's footage of it. Yeah, here we go. So this happened in 2004. So if you're like, wow, the video quality sucks. Yeah, because it was almost 20 years ago. So this is his bulldozer. Just like, did your kids like Paw Patrol when they were younger, or are they too old for that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's 11, so that it existed. Yes.
Okay, so if she was like, this is like if Rubble had a bad day.
Eric Foams, I do know about Mandy.
Yeah, so Rubble had a bad day. Rubble had a bad day, and look what he did. He basically he up-armored his bulldozer and encased it in hardened steel plate and concrete and went on a rampage. Wow. In Granby, Colorado.
Okay, I gotta see this. Okay. What?
On Road 3, I got a spray for in front of what the A&W used to be on 40, where you walk this footprint.
This dude needs to just go on Robot Wars.
What's that?
Remember that show Robot Wars?
Yeah.
You ever see that? He just
Yes.
needs to go on that and blow off
Well,
some steam.
It got so bad the police did not have enough weapons. They begged the military to come down.
Yeah, you'd need to.
Yeah.
But that, okay. I'm
We're gonna
assuming
speed
he
it up
hurt
just a hair.
somebody.
Yeah.
That's a shame because apart from that, it's based.
So, yeah, let's see if there's some video of him, like
Yeah.
some, yeah,
Jay
there's
Roach,
some,
he made a
there's
real
some,
life one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. The police tried to use whatever guns they had on hand, and they couldn't stop them.
A gun is going to stop that. Yeah, right.
Well, like, it was all up armored. They were trying to find shots in anywhere, but even disabling it, there were no spots they could disable. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, you hear them shooting at it? That's them shooting at it. So let's see if there's, yeah, here you go. And it's him just chugging along like a free man on the land.
Okay, quick Brand 35, did you want him to respond anywhere or no? Silver 1691, are we letting fire department in at all? 1547. This for Grand 2. How's so for all right.
He's in stealth mode.
What's that?
He's in stealth mode.
Well, yeah, but he basically went after the people who had fucked him over. So he didn't terrorize innocent people. Like, yeah, the cars got smashed, but he targeted select buildings. Like, he bulldozed City Hall. He bulldozed other businesses that had done him wrong. And he went on a rampage. And he finally got stuck because he drove into a building that had a basement. And he got stuck and he couldn't move anymore. And the police swarmed all over and he finally killed himself. So, and there's some.
Okay, but did he hurt other people? Or
No, he didn't
was
hurt
it just
anybody.
him?
No fatalities except him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and here's the helicopter footage of it.
The scene looked like moments ago. This is tape. This is when we first arrived on scene, and it looked
Yeah.
like officers standing on a hill above this earth mover turned tank were firing some pretty heavy arms at him, trying to find a weak spot, trying to find some way to immobilize. This man was now on the east side of Granby in what's called an independent probe store, apparently taken out his own radiator, and the engine had seized up, and SWAT team members were trying to get inside the tank. But a tank it is. It's an earth mover no more. It's actually a tank.
So that's a grader. That's also another earth moving tool. They try to use that to stop him, and he fights it. It's like a demo derby.
Do you guys have some questions that you would like to pass along? Those are the propane tanks that he was kind of milling about for a time.
Absolutely. Luann, can you take us through it chronologically so people get a sense? I know it all started about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Where did he begin? Do you know?
Armor plate on the side of that. It didn't seem to
So, yeah,
matter
look at him.
what police
He
officers did
fights
with the
this- he
rifles
fights
and
this
such.
equipment.
They could not pierce it. This was an earth scraper they moved in to try to do some combat, to try to in some way immobilize the scraper. Almost got to where he was turning it over at that point there. But the scraper is just no match for the cat there, the Caterpillar turned tank.
If you're just joining us, also it's not a Caterpillar. It's the Komatsu D355.
Get it right.
Not a Caterpillar. And if you guys, and I will say it is courtesy of our mod Stabby, for I got a 3D printer. That's what this is.
Oh.
And one of my model streams at some point, when I get done with what I have here, I have found a bulldozer model kit that's out there, and I will scratch build a bulldozer model.
Well, you should. Absolutely.
And I'll make like the little blocks and bricks and stuff on it. But
5
yeah.
o'clock, this is News 4 at 5.
Yeah, here's
Point of view that he could see
Oh,
out of.
there he
We
goes.
were skeptical
Yeah.
when we first arrived on
This
scene.
is
that
split
there was
up a
any way
little
for him
though,
to
but
fire
yeah.
this, to fire any
He's
weapons
got
out of this.
cinder
I think
blocks
that's
all
exactly
over
the case.
though.
What you see on top of there is debris, some venting, a whole lot of
Yeah.
cinder blocks. He's actually pushing cinder blocks. Town
Yeah, here we
area,
go.
Right there, may have taken out a radiator. He doesn't stop for light poles. He doesn't stop for buildings. He takes out the corner of the copycat store. Again, this is right in downtown Granby. And then the gamble store next to this became another prime
Look,
target. He backed up. While the radiator's smoking, while he has any power left, he's going to attack that Gamble's appliance store.
Well,
Many
this
of the
is
stores, the
impressive.
buildings, the offices that we have seen him take out apparently seem to have some rhyme or reason to him, some kind of history, some kind of ongoing gripe that were part of his problem with the city officials and some of the other business owners in Granby. He's going to turn around here and make one last stand and shove that Caterpillar into the Gamble's appliance store.
And as he built this, he spent over a year building this. He recorded himself as he was working on stuff in his shop that had
Did
been
he?
closed off. Yeah, he sat there and basically did a year-long video manifesto. And also had a bunch of scenes where he's just sitting there talking on his couch in his shop as he made this, why he's doing it.
Lulu, according to some witnesses, that he reportedly also is armed with a machine.
Along those lines, we also heard
Who's
reports
that?
that at one point
Like,
they were
I
trying to get
hate
an
this
armor-piercing
person, so I'm
machine
going to
gun
go and
brought in
bulldoze
from
you.
Hot Summer Springs,
And
No,
you.
no,
miles down
it's
the highway. That
people in the town that helped get his business destroyed. He felt
Yeah.
responsible for it, including other business owners. He had a couple of different lawsuits against people,
Right.
and that he had not had one. But he had been kind of jerked around by people.
was their
So
thought as to what their only hope was.
you
as
know
to
whether
how to
all of it
stop
was
this man.
legitimate or
But he
not.
actually
But
ended
yeah,
up
look at all that
stopping himself.
radiator
You can
fluid.
see now that long stream of wet pavement there. That's the radiator. Apparently took out the hose or some other
Yeah.
part of a radiator underneath his Caterpillar. And he's going to make one last stand, go over the curb, and start punching his way into the Gamble store and into the back of that. When we left the area of Granby about 20 minutes ago, he had wedged himself in the back end of this store again, and apparently had taken out the radiator. He'd become immobilized, and we had SWAT team members trying to figure out how to get inside the Caterpillar.
And is that where it stands right now, Lou? Have they gotten inside? Do you know?
We don't know. We haven't been able to communicate with our crew on the ground up here. You can see he just is deliberate and determined, and nothing will stop him except his own equipment. What we're going to do, if you can stay with me now, he's going to make one last stand here. We're going to fast forward again and show you how far he gets, and then we'll take it up to where we actually have members of the Grant County SWAT team, the Sheriff's Office SWAT team, standing on top of the Caterpillar, trying to figure out how to get in. I'm sure police officers, sheriff's deputies,
And this is
were
where he gets
themselves assuming
stuck.
for a time that he was armed because they were trying to keep their distance, trying to take cover. Actually took cover, as you can
So he gets stuck in here because this is where the basement is.
see there behind the scraper, but they seemed to realize at some point that he was unable to shoot out, and that at this point he was like a turtle on his back. He was very vulnerable. He had gotten himself wedged. He disabled the Caterpillar, and there was no place for him to go. The challenge now was to get him out of there. We don't know how that stands.
So the video we're looking at is of that department store you were talking about. Is also we understand that.
So that is the Killdozer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for that.
Yes, you're
That
welcome.
is a mind-blowing introduction to
got some. Hell is like, I got some ideas on how to make my voice heard in Brisbane now. Yeah. This episode of Bluey is known as domestic terrorism.
Yeah. I'm just like, at least he went out having fun. Because it looks like he was having a damn good time.
That's one way to put it, yes.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to be I'm on the news, there's helicopters, the army is out. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is like, as Macklemore said, this is fucking awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Ask her about the Outback serial killer. Yeah. Look, Malat, he was pretty gruesome. He was pretty bad. He would get the hitchhikers, and he would take them and do all sorts of nasty things to them. And yeah, he's gone now. But I was thinking about
he's gone, like he's like he took a one-way trip gone, or like he
was in solitary confinement for many years. But
he's dead.
He's no longer with us. Yeah. Ask her about kangaroos. Kangaroos exist, but they're not just everywhere. Like they're not hopping down the street.
Well, not where you live, but other places they do.
In some places. How about Ned
Kelly?
Kelly?
The Dumpster
Ned
Bros?
Kelly.
The Dumpster Bros. You have 1 second. Fine, we'll watch these. So, Dumpster Bros. So this is a father and son out in Amarillo, Texas.
Okay.
And they are in a fight with a neighbor over a mattress left in their alleyway for the communal garbage dumpster. I wish I could tell you that this wasn't the case, or that it was for something truly important in life, but nope, this is what these Rhodes Scholars got into a fight over.
Oh yeah, you're going to jail. Yes, you are.
So yes, I'm sure when you think of Texas, this is what you're thinking of anyway. So, yeah.
Look, I think about like steakhouses and.
Well, I'm sure, but if you thought about people in Texas, this is.
I guess, yeah.
Or is this what you think of, like down about people in like Adelaide? This is what you think Hayden looks like on his day off?
Adelaide people, like, yeah, they're more sort of boganish. Like,
see, this is more... what this is what it looks like in the Outback every day, huh?
Yeah, no.
All right. So, anyways, he's holding a shotgun. He's holding a pistol.
Okay.
So here we go.
Yeah, there is that difference. We don't have any of them.
Hold on, motherfucker. I'm right fucking here. You already pointed away from him. Come get it. Go get the gun. Back off. Go get my BB gun. I'm gonna put 9 in this motherfucker. Back off. I'm standing at the dumpster.
Hold on here. I'm gonna rewind that just a hair so you can hear it better.
Back off. Away from him. Come get it. Go get the gun. Back off. Go get my BB gun. I'm gonna put 9 in this motherfucker. Back off. I'm standing at the dumpster, bitch. If you come closer to me, I'm gonna kill you. Hey, did you hear him say he's gonna kill me? Yes. I'm at the dumpster. Put the gun up and go inside.
You pulled a gun in front of our children.
In front of my kids. Waiting for a fucking mattress. Fuck you. Point at me, motherfucker. Point at me. Take your swing. I'm standing my ground, motherfucker. Take your swing. No, you ain't.
You're in an alley. You're not in your home, sir.
You came out to the alley. Support the gun. I will kick you're dead. I promise you, you're both dead.
It is an alley.
You're in an alley with a fucking shotgun, you little piece of shit. I'm gonna kill you. I doubt it.
First of all, if you're going to show this video to the cops, you might want to stop you on.
Oh no! I don't give a fuck. I will fucking kill you. You pull the gun from my kid. You pull that gun one more time, before I'll take it. I'll put a bullet through your head. No, you won't. Bet. Point it at me. Take a swing. Point it at me. Go ahead. Point it at me. Take your swing. Point that motherfucker at me. Go ahead. Take your swing. Point it at me. Point it at me. Back off. Point it at me again. Back off. Point it at me again. Back off. You're a dead man. I doubt it. No, I don't give a fuck what the cops say. I don't care what the cops. Don't say you. Don't tell you about it.
You're a bitch. I'm gonna kill you too.
Cocksucker.
Fuck you, you little faggot. Yeah, how's your wife and my kids doing, bitch?
Jag off.
You're dead.
I doubt it.
I
Better quit
guarantee it.
threatening.
I doubt it.
I ain't threatening shit. You walked out the
You
fucking
just
door.
did.
Fuck you, faggot.
Fuck you, cocksucker.
Get that gun.
If you come within 3 foot of me, I'm gonna kill you.
Okay.
You're not going to shoot my husband.
Come on.
It's what?
Shoot me. You're dead. Point it. Point it.
Ed! Ed! No! 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 Wow!
I love the whole you're not going to shoot them. Well,
Bang bang.
well, the thing is he grabbed, if you notice, he threw a baseball bat. He had a bat at that point.
Yeah.
So yes, if she would have just not encouraged him to fight, he might not have died. So anyway, those guys ended up going to trial.
Yeah.
Son got acquitted, dad got sent to prison. So
That was like a movie with the whole like screaming at the end
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
God.
yes, as
Except
Charlie says, and it appears they could kill her husband. And so they
Yes.
did.
Except they would have maybe gotten better looking actors.
Yeah. Well, they're method acting people in Texas, so no, it was perfect.
Yeah. Oh dear. Women ain't nothing but trouble. It's a
Yes.
women moment.
Yes. Oh, so
That was fun. We need to do more of this. Sometimes on Dali's channel, Salvador Dali's channel,
Yeah.
we do this whole thing where we try and like teach each other about our cultures, and we
Yes.
do this sort of thing. Yeah, and because
It's the
so often,
cultures.
yeah,
There's all kinds of culture here.
exactly. Because so often, like he'll say something, and he'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, say someone's name." I'll be, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So you're
And,
learning.
like,
You're learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because and people like you guys in chat are like, is she living under a rock? And I'm like, well, no, just living on the other side of the world.
Yes. So you like? Do you like learning about American culture?
I love it.
Well,
It's
then that's
fantastic.
something that then you need to know.
Was this story based? Yes.
It was based. In
Very
fact,
based.
we don't use the word based here. Based is you
Does that mean
guys
something else?
like
Oh.
the floor is based.
Oh, okay.
Don't know. No, it's just I haven't heard based
Oh.
here at
Oh,
all in
okay.
general
Mhm.
conversation. Do I know Hayden only through YouTube? He's in Melbourne. and I'm in
Australia's a
Brisbane.
very big place, guys.
It's pretty big.
It's like
Yeah.
Texas. It's like Texas big.
It's
Even bigger.
70% of the size of the US, actually. 75% of the size of the US.
It's
so
Texas on
pretty
steroids.
giant.
So yeah, and there's a
Um,
big nothingness in the middle.
Yeah. We're all around the edge. So we
Mhm.
are all on the coast because
Yeah.
the coasts are beautiful. The inside of Australia is beautiful too, but not that hospitable.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, why wouldn't you live on the outside? There's beaches everywhere. So anyway, so that's why
Mhm.
I don't know very much about your general cultural things that you talk about. But
Oh, well,
same backwards. We've got our own
Well,
things here too.
Yeah, and there's we've got our things, but you know, there's. I wish I could remember where. I don't remember where it's at now, but I have a. There's the one I wanted to show you. Okay, because I'm gonna show the switchies, but I wanted to show it, but the one I really want to show I can't find anymore. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's the one where it's like the whole neighborhood and everybody comes running up with their guns. I'm trying to find that one. But
I'm actually going to have to jump.
Oh, you gotta go?
Because I had to
Okay.
take my little girl to dance. But we do this next time.
oh yeah, it's
Because-
the daytime there for you guys. It's like
It is 3:25 in the afternoon.
It's like 12 hours ago.
And I'm actually not just bet you might exist. Absolutely, and it's delicious. I have it mixed with. I'll tell you something. I have it mixed with peanut butter, and then cheese on crackers. That's my favorite. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Anyway, yeah. So I'm not streaming as much as I was. I was streaming every single day, and I'm getting a little bit tired of that. So I'm going to be jumping onto other people's streams.
Just taking a breather.
Just a breather, because I spend tons and tons of time preparing my streams. So much time. So
Your kid had to learn how to do the laundry by herself.
So I'm going to be just in chats a lot more and just maybe jumping on for 20 minutes, half an hour onto other people's to say hi. So thank you so much for that. That was super duper fun.
All right, Hella. Well, I'll see you around.
I
Guys,
love
overexcited
you guys.
utterance. Good night.
See you. Have a great day. Good day.
All right, guys. So that is it for tonight for me. I think we're going to hang it up for a bit. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Actually, probably tomorrow afternoon. We might do some Michelle Troconis. Going to try. Oh, God, I might just wait till the weekend, Friday and the weekend to wrap this all up. I don't know yet. Trying to figure it out. So, at the very least, we are doing tomorrow night the Marbury case, like Madison v. Marbury. So, yeah, we ain't doing that one. Or Stephen Marbury. I don't know. So, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow, if not 9:30 for the live show. And yeah, I will see you guys then. Good night and take care, everybody. Bye.